Okay. So it is 1800 hours. I'm going to call this regular council meeting to order. Regular council meeting 2025-19 to order. The invocation will be led by Pastor Mark Miller of Victory in Christ Jesus Ministries. And the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Johnson. Please rise.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, City of Palm Bay, for this opportunity to bring the invocation. Heavenly Father, we are reminded to enter your gates with thanksgiving and to enter your courts with praise. And so my prayer this evening, myself included, and for all those that are even watching online, that we be reminded that we truly have so much to be thankful for in our lives. As we come together this evening, we pray that we will be entering through your gate with thanksgiving and entering into your court with praise. Because your court is a court of justice. It is a court of truth. It is a court of peace and even a court of joy. I pray that tonight and at all times we enter into your court because that's where you reign and you rule. With wisdom, compassion, with justice, you desire that none shall perish, that no one is above the other, and knowing that you can never love each and every one of us more than you do right now. I pray this city, its workers, elected officials, and citizens will be like that wise man who built his house upon the rock, and not the foolish man who built his house upon the shifting sand, because there's a storm coming. In fact, it's already here, so I pray we're solidly grounded. John Adams, our second president, said it best. He described this solidly grounded best. He said, suppose a nation, or suppose a city, in some distant region should take the Bible for their only law book, and every member would regulate his conduct by the precepts therein. What a utopia, what a paradise this region would be. So, Father, let Palm Bay be the city set on a hill that cannot be hidden, and it cannot be moved because our foundation is on solid ground. Let it be a city that confesses and repents for its past sins, and one that honors God as we move forward in your will, and that we take care of our citizens today and plan for those tomorrow, such that we too can become that utopia, that paradise that you desire for this city to be. And in the name of Jesus, may God bless Palm Bay and the United States of America. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please turn to face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah. Mrs. Jones? Present.
I'm sorry. There we go. Deputy Mayor Jaffe?
Present.
Councilman Johnson?
Present.
Councilman Hammers by phone? Councilman Hammer? Present. Councilman Langevin?
Present.
Mrs. Moscone?
Present.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Deputy Mayor?
One term is expiring on the Melbourne-Tillman Water Control District. Anyone wishing to serve on these boards can apply online at palmbayflorida.org or contact the city clerk's office at 952-3414.
Okay, we are now on agenda revisions. Madam Moscone.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The staff recommendation for item 1 under new business has been revised to require a separate motion for each co-sponsorship request. In addition, the applicants for items 3, 4, and 5 under public hearings have requested that the cases related to Lotus Palm Bay be continued to the September 18th regular council meeting.
I need a motion, staff.
So move.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. Any discussion, gentlemen? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Okay. Before we go on, Madam Jones, can I get a test so I could hear Councilman Hammer, please?
Councilman Hammer? Councilman Hammer, can you say something?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Carry on, Ms. Moscone.
Thank you,
I
sir.
did say yay.
Copy that, sir. Carry on, Ms. Moscone.
Staff is also requesting that items 7, 8, and 9 under public hearings related to the Land Development Code amendments be continued to the January 15th, 2026 regular council meeting. And for context and for the benefit of the public, I'd like to bring up our Assistant City Manager, Jason DiLorenzo. As you'll recall, these amendments were originally presented to you on May 15th, which was our new city manager's first council meeting. He asked at that time for a continuance until tonight and did state at that meeting that he would be requesting additional time. But since then, Jason, in combination with Lisa Frazier, our growth management director, has come up with a very solid plan, and we wanted to share that with you all this evening.
Carry on, Mr. DiLorenzo.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I am Jason DiLorenzo, the Assistant City Manager. And tonight, I want to walk you through the strategy that we've developed to re-engage the community for the Phase 2 updates of the Land Development Code. And as Ms. Mosconi mentioned, ask for a continuance of items 7, 8, and 9 to January 15th, 2026. Phase 2 isn't just about tweaking regulations. It's about making sure our development standards reflect who we are as a community and where we want to go. I want to acknowledge all the great work that's been completed to this point. Creating a new code takes a lot of effort from all involved. When the consultant presented last year, she described how the team reorganized, implemented, and updated the code. The final step is to refine, and that's what we'll achieve with Phase 2. The Land Development Code plays a big role in shaping our city, how we look, how we protect our neighborhoods, and how we encourage investment in the city. But as we all know, it's also a document that can stir up a lot of passion. That's why this process is focused on listening first, making space for real dialogue and building a code that's not only technically sound, but publicly supported. Our goal is simple: conduct a fair, open, and thoughtful engagement process that helps us get a better code. One that works for residents, investors, business owners, and you, City Council. We want to create something that balances quality of life with smart, balanced, sustainable growth. We've built the engagement strategy around 4 guiding ideas. Transparency. We'll be clear about what we're doing and why we're doing it and how people can be involved. 2, inclusion. Everyone gets a seat at the table. Residents, developers, neighborhood groups, business leaders, environmental advocates, everyone. Responsiveness. If someone raises a concern, we'll listen and respond with facts, data, and respect. And balance. We want a code that protects the character of our city, but also encourages quality development and investment. The engagement plan has 4 steps. First, we'll listen and reconnect with one-on-one and small group listening sessions. Council members, we would like to speak with you to understand what you're hearing from your constituents. Also, stakeholder groups that use the code every day, and neighborhood leaders, business and environmental groups, and of course, citizens. We want to understand the pain points and gather honest feedback. Then we'll collaborate and co-create by shifting into focus groups and town halls. These sessions will dive into key topics like housing, design standards, landscaping, and process, and bring folks together to help shape real solutions. Once we've gathered enough input, we'll draft and validate by publishing a red-line version of the code, showing exactly what's changed and why. Then we'll host review sessions where people can ask questions and offer additional feedback. Finally, we'll move into the formal process of recommendations and adoption. P&Z will hold a public hearing to make a recommendation, and then we'll bring the updated code to you for formal hearings and adoption. And along the way, we'll make sure to highlight how stakeholder feedback shaped the final product. At the end of the day, this is about restoring trust, improving the process, and creating a land development code that reflects the values of this community. We know we won't get 100% agreement, but if we do it right, we'll get broad support, and that makes for a stronger, more transparent city. That is a high-level view. We have a deep outline of how we're going to do this, and I'm happy to say we're going to hold our first stakeholder meeting on next Monday, and to get the ball rolling, and then we'll be working with the communications department to schedule additional meetings with the public.
And so when is this stakeholders meeting next Monday? It'll be during the day?
It's
or-
9 a.m., 9 to 11. This will be the first of our listening sessions to understand how our stakeholders understand the code changes and where their concerns are for where we are at this point in the process.
And when will that be held?
It's in the first floor conference room in City Hall.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Does that conclude your
Yes,
comments?
yes, sir.
Council, do you have any questions of Mr. Di Lorenzo? None? Seeing none, carry on, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your agenda revisions, Madam Moscone?
It does. We just ask for a motion for continuance, please.
Yes.
So move.
Well,
For this, yeah.
oh, for this one? Okay, so January 15th?
I'll second.
I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. So, Madam Smith, any agenda revisions?
No, sir.
Okay. Council, I have an agenda request to move new business item number 1 to before the public comments. I would need a motion for that.
Okay.
But just for clarity, I think we're going to, is it going to be items number 1 and 2, or?
Yeah, no, item, new business number 1.
Right, but I think we're hearing those, are they still one item if they're heard separately?
Or just
Yeah,
three
no,
separate motions?
it's.
Two separate
it's-
motions, okay.
It's 3 separate motions.
3 separate motions, okay.
One item.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and make that agenda change, Mayor.
Thank
Second.
you. I got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe and seconded by Councilman Hammer's on the phone. Councilman Johnson.
Yep.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. So new business item number 1 will be moved right before public comments. Any other agenda revisions?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to make a motion to move public hearings 1 and 2 right before presentations.
Copy that. I need a motion. Oh, I need a second.
I'll second.
So, public hearings 1 and 2,
Yes, sir. That's for drainage easement for.
right after presentations,
Before.
right before presentations. Before presentations? Okay. Okay, I got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. So I just wanted to highlight, if anyone in the audience is here for public hearings 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8, or 9, these items have been continued and will not be considered at tonight's meeting. Lotus, Palm Bay items were continued to September 18th council meeting. Thank you. So now we're on proclamations.
Baseball.
Tom, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, so come on up. Come on up. No. Aging Matters in Brevard, 60th anniversary, June 7, 2025. It is hereby proclaimed by the mayor of the city of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, whereas Aging Matters in Brevard, originally known as the Community Service Council, was incorporated as a not-for-profit organization back in June 7, 1965, and today promotes the independence, health, safety, and quality of life of seniors countywide. And whereas Aging Matters is now the leading agency providing direct services to seniors across Brevard County and is kicking off its 60th anniversary initiative on July 1st, 2025. Whereas having grown alongside Brevard County, Aging Matters now employs more than 90 staff members and mobilizes more than 800 volunteers who drive more than 400,000 miles annually. Whereas Aging Matters staff and volunteers with the assistance from a myriad of supporters, provide life-changing services to hundreds of seniors annually countywide, including 79,000 hours of companionship, respite care, socialization, safety and wellness checks, and light housekeeping in 2024 alone. Whereas Aging Matters has prepared more than 425,000 meals at its Brevard Community Kitchen for daily distribution through its Meals on Wheels. You know, I cannot say Meals on Wheels program and not think of Robert Stice.
Me too.
Meals are provided weekly for 13 senior lunch community dining centers, and pet food is provided monthly to 160 clients through Pets on Wheels. And whereas Aging Matters has installed 178 handicap accessible ramps, 2,100 handicap accessible grab bars, as well as operated the Sunflower House, which provides critical caregiver support. They have conducted bone builders classes for 370 seniors to help prevent osteoporosis, as well as recruited volunteers for the Retired Senior Volunteer Program and many other organizations. Now, therefore, I, Rob Medina, Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, the greatest city on the face of the earth, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby recognize June 7th, 2025 as Aging Matters Brevard 60th anniversary in the city of Palm Bay, Florida, and encourage all our citizens to join in recognizing 60 years of distinguished service to the citizens, and particularly the senior citizens of Brevard County and in the city of Palm Bay. And congratulate the Board of Directors, leadership team, and Aging Matters for a job well done. In witness hereof, I set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Palm Bay to be affixed this 21st day of August. Congratulations, Tom.
Hold on. I know one volunteers here. I don't know. Can I get a picture with him real quick?
Yeah, why don't you just say a few words?
I will. Get a picture.
You're breaking up the order. Say a
All right,
few
I will.
words there,
I will.
Tom. Oh, where are you going? Oh, okay. No, but you're coming on this side and saying it to the audience.
All right, so. Palm Bay Council members, staff, and guests, my name again is Tom Camadenner. I am the President and CEO of Aging Matters in Brevard. On behalf of Aging Matters in Brevard Board of Directors, its professional staff, hundreds of volunteers, and the 79 Meals on Wheels and 56 senior at lunch clients we presently serve in Palm Bay, along with the multitude of other services we provide for seniors, we thank you most sincerely for this proclamation. It means a great deal to us. I'd also like to thank Mike Hammer for his support going on Meals on Wheels route, but also Patricia Smith, who's been on our board for many years and has now stepped off. But I want to thank her directly. So yes, please. We have a lot of work to do, and Palm Bay is a deep and wonderful partner that we have and as we move forward. Just want to share a recent story that we had. So I don't know if anybody's seen issues with things going on in the paper about funding and those type of things. And so we had our first Adopt a Senior come from a local business. Sherry Tabbitt of Remax actually gave us $2,000 to take a critical senior off a wait list, just a few miles down the road. So Donald was taken off the wait list, and he was one of our fives, our highest level of nutritional need. So right there says how a community is coming together. Since that point, we are now up to, I think, roughly 8 right now. 8 clients that have been taken off that list, those critical fives, due to contributions from local businesses and local chapters. So again, we'll make a difference as a community, make a difference as a town, make a difference as a county. Thank you.
Are you coming in?
probably just kidding. I probably do. We'll find out tomorrow. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Good to see you again. Thank you for everything.
I want to thank the guys here that, yes, the Yankee shirt. The staff has been terrific and supportive, and we've very good on else too, so thank you.
Hey, oh, Tom? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we are now on public hearings number 1, Madam Smith.
Now sit right after. Ordinance 2025-29, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, vacating and abandoning a portion of the rear 20-foot public utility and drainage easement located within Lot 34, Block 171, Port Malabar Unit 7, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 14, page 128 of the Public Records of Brevard County, Florida, and legally described herein, providing for an effective date. And Mayor, I did want to announce that Councilman Hammer will be abstaining from this vote. Council members are typically required to vote, but they can abstain if there is or appears to be a conflict. And in this case, the applicants are Councilman Hammer's former in-laws.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So I'm going to open up the public hearing. Now, Madam Moscone, you want to present this?
Yes, Mayor, this is a vacation of easement of .016 acres in a rear public utility and drainage easement for the purpose of building a swimming pool and deck in the backyard. And we will be happy to have staff answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff, council? Seeing none, and I'd like to bring up the applicant to present their case. Come on up, sir. Okay, so take your time. Can you guide him, ma'am?
Right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, sir.
All right. Hello.
Hi.
I don't know what, do you need something
So
from me?
you just tell us what you need.
Oh, okay.
And present that.
Behind our property is a 20-feet easement. It was a utility easement. There used to be telephone poles and power lines in the back, which were removed when they put the underground power in. What we would like is just 10 foot of that easement vacated so that we can put a swimming pool in the backyard, because without that, we just don't have room to put anything in there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, council? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak? For or against this items? Thank you, Mr. Weinberg. Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Councilman Langevin. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 4-0 with one abstaining. We're now on item number 2. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Madam Moscone.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a variance request for a proposed swimming pool. The variance is to encroach 5 feet into the 10-foot rear setback. And for this particular item, I will ask our Growth Management Director, Lisa Frazier, to come up and present the case.
Thank you, ma'am. Come on up, Ms. Frazier.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. As stated, this is a request for a variance to allow proposed swimming pool and screen enclosure to encroach 5 feet into the 10-foot rear setback established for swimming pools as required in Section 174.002 of the Land Development Code. This lot resides in the gardens at Waterstone PUD, so the applicant also was required to receive full approval from the HOA, and the HOA did allow that they can encroach in the 10-foot setback, which is also a maintenance easement. They felt that there was enough room for the maintenance. Variances from the terms of the Land Development Code may be granted when special conditions exist that would result in unnecessary hardship if the provisions of the Land Development Code were enforced. However, a variance may not be granted when the public health and safety would be compromised as a result of the variance. There are a set of criteria, 7 criteria, that we do ask the applicant to guide us through their request. Please be aware that hardship is defined at a state level. The staff recommended denial based on no unnecessary hardship was presented. This is a new build, and they had the choice to allocate the buildable area of their home or the structure to allow room for a pool. That's what staff recommended, denial, and yet P&Z recommended approval. I wanted to bring that forward to you all. Any questions?
And so just to clarify.
Yes, sir.
The HOA approved it.
Yes, sir.
I think that's the biggest hurdle to overcome would be an HOA to approve a variance. Is that safe to say, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Sure.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
They allowed the encroachment into the 10-foot easement and their maintenance easement for the pond in the back of the house. They felt that there would be enough flat area for them to continue the maintenance.
Okay, thank you. Does that conclude
Yes,
your
sir.
presentation? Council, any questions of staff? Councilman Hammer, any questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor, any speaker cards on this one?
No, Mayor.
Okay, I'm closing the public hearing and asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Thank you. We are now on presentations. Madam Moscone.
Thank you, Mayor. We are very pleased this evening to have some of our partners from Space Coast TPO. Excited to see them here in our audience. And this evening, we have a presentation on the Southern Brevard Trails Master Plan Update by Patty Rendon. You don't look like Patty Rendon. All right, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Travis Hills with Kittleson and Associates. I'm the consultant for the Space Coast TPO. And just to recognize our TPO partners, our TPO staff, so Georgiana Gillette, Patty is in the middle, and then Sarah Crom on the right side. So thank you for letting us present this evening. So a little bit on the outline. So I'll go through the vision, goals, and the study area for our project, a little bit of a summary on existing conditions analysis, stakeholder outreach, a little bit on trail hierarchy and typology, and then we'll really talk through the recommended trails both for the area and then specifically for Palm Bay, and then what we're recommending for our study. So at your place, hopefully y'all have the PowerPoint that you can follow along with me, and then there's 2 sets of maps. The first is the Palm Bay specific recommended trails, and then there's also a larger map set, or there's a map with a larger table set that has all of the recommended trails throughout the study area. So a little bit on our project vision goals. So really the goal of our study was to provide an active transportation network really focused on expanding the trail and the multimodal kind of nature of Southern Brevard County, really promoting recreation, public health, environmental stewardship, and then really continuing to enhance that quality of life that trails bring to our Southern Brevard County. So our study area, basically it's everything south of Palm Bay Road down to the Indian River County line, St. Johns River to the west, and US 1 to the east. Oh, sorry. So just to kind of give folks an idea about where we're at in the planning process. So you see this kind of inverted triangle. I know y'all are very familiar with how projects get developed and built, but for folks that may not, we're really at that, what I would say, 10,000 foot level. So we're at that sub-area study, that planning study, really kind of helping set the foundation for what we can hopefully roll into future kind of feasibility studies, more detailed analysis that then hopefully move forward into design right away if necessary, and then ultimately construction. As you all know, with some of the projects you have at the city, very long timelines for those types of projects. We're looking anywhere between kind of 10 and 15 years from where we're at now to hopefully get some of these trails in the ground. So then on existing conditions analysis. So the first thing that we did was reviewed all the previous plans and studies for the area, and then went through and mapped all of the recreational facilities on all of the ped bike facilities that we have throughout southern Brevard County. We also overlaid that with land use demographic data and where we have destinations. We use that to create an active transportation propensity index. Try saying that 5 times fast. And we used really those 2 layers. We overlaid those to really find where we may have gaps in our network. So that first step that I mentioned, mapping all of the existing and planned trails, you see we have a fairly robust network out in southern Brevard County today. A lot of roads, or a lot of trail ped and bike facilities in Palm Bay specifically, and then a lot of unpaved, those kind of brown facilities that you see through a lot of the nature areas that we have in the southern part of the county. So then I mentioned the active transportation propensity index. So really kind of mapping where we think people are going to be walking and biking the most. Really no surprise, Palm Bay really was kind of the center of a lot of that activity. Really kind of shown by some of those darker areas that you see on the map. And then Barefoot Bay kind of in the southeast also popped as well. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to overlay where we had existing and planned facilities with our active transportation propensity index. And really what we see is we have fairly good coverage of Palm Bay. We have a lot of shared use paths, a lot of sidewalks, a lot of bike facilities today. But really what we're trying to do is how are we connecting people from kind of the northern portion of our study area, the Palm Bay area, down to the south. So our process included a very robust public outreach component. So we had 3 project working group meetings. This included all of the local municipalities, so Palm Bay, Grant Valcaria, Malabar, a number of other different municipalities and agencies as well. We then held 6 agency stakeholder meetings, specifically with Palm Bay and then the other local agencies as well. And then we had an in-person public open house down in Grant Valcaria with an online mapping tool that we promoted to help get people both in person and then online to provide comments. We had a virtual lunch and learn to supplement for the folks that couldn't make it in person. And then now we're on to doing our final board and council presentations. So really the key takeaways from our public outreach, people would prefer more off-road and unpaved trails. So really getting into all of those kind of nature areas, really getting back out into those nature areas and really kind of off of the roadway. I think a lot of our MO is to build these shared use paths, these sidewalks, these bike lanes with these road projects. Really what we were seeing from our public outreach was people want to get off the roads and get back out into the different kind of nature areas that we have around southern Brevard. So then very quickly on the trail hierarchy and typology. So we had 3 different types of trails that we recommended as a part of our study. So the primary, these are your county-wide, statewide, regional trails, otherwise known as the Showcase Trails Network in Brevard County. We also had secondary trails. These were more kind of local city trails that would connect to those primary trails. And then tertiary, these are those neighborhood level trails, shorter, that then connect to the different secondary and primary trails in our network. So on to the recommended trails network. We did have a data-driven approach to get us to our recommended network, but really at the end of the day, it came down to a lot of stakeholder involvement. What did the locals want? What did the public want? And so we went through this screening process, and just to remind everybody kind of where we started, so see all kind of the bolded lines that we have for our existing and planned trails. And then when I go, you see that we actually fill out a lot of those facilities kind of around Palm Bay. And then really as we expand further to the south and to the east to really connect in with a lot of the different areas that we have in the southern part of our study area. So just a high-level overview of our recommended trails network. So we are proposing, we had 255 total miles of existing and planned facilities, 69 planned facilities, and we're actually recommending over 140 new miles of trails and or ped bike facilities throughout southern Brevard County, where hopefully, once all this gets implemented, we'll hopefully be up over 460 miles of total kind of network miles in our southern Brevard area. These are kind of broken up on the left-hand side between shared use paths that are off-road or along road, different on-street facilities, or unpaved or designated paddling trails, otherwise known as kind of the scenic blue way trails as well. So once we came up with this recommended network, we went through a prioritization process, also very data-driven, and really relying on the stakeholder and public feedback. And that's where you see the trail networks, the prioritized trails that you see in the maps in front of you. So overall, just in the study area, top 10 prioritized corridors, the first one being along the C1 canal. So that's been a lot of conversation we've had with Melbourne Tillman, and we're presenting to them next week. But we had Melbourne Tillman on our working group. They were very actively involved and very supportive of that being the number one project. And then more specifically to Palm Bay, we go forward a couple. So C1 is obviously in Palm Bay, and then a few also made the top 10 in terms of Babcock Street and along US 1. Babcock Street, that aligns with the potential future widening project for that section as well. So really kind of trying to take advantage of coupling different projects together to advance the different priorities for the area. So in terms of implementation and next steps, not to overwhelm people with the table that you see here, but it takes a village to get these things built, as you all know. So between the different agency partners, the TPO, FDOT, the locals, the different utility companies, FPNL, EEL, environmentally endangered lands program. There's a lot of different ways that people can play a role. We're really looking for partners to kind of push these projects forward, move into feasibility, and try to get something built. So really that leads us to our next step. So coming to you all, coming to the different town and city councils, making these presentations, that's our first step in the coordination efforts. We're hoping to conduct a feasibility study or studies on whatever those kind of top recommended corridors come out to be, and really partnering with the locals who want to push those trail corridors forward. Hopefully you all leveraging TPO support. I know you all do a great job of that already. And then really looking at securing diverse funding options to hopefully push these different things forward. Ultimately, trying to expand our partnerships, make sure we're kind of moving forward collectively with the goals and vision of the area. So with that being said, that's all for my presentation. So I'd love to get any questions or comments.
Any questions, council? Sure. Councilman Langevin?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say, this is a good idea. Obviously, we hope that the TPO also focuses on roads for us in the south, but being in military, I was in the reserves at one point. And I still have a lot of friends that are in the reserves and the Guard that live locally, and we like to get together and go on rucks, and we got to do it on the sidewalks right now. So this would be a lot cooler. So there's trails, and then I'm assuming a path is that like a small, like a paved, like a bike path, like paved?
Yeah, so the kind of off-road trails are kind of what they'd be that asphalt, the 12-foot wide, more out in kind of those nature areas. And then we're also looking at potentially shared use paths along roadways. So great example, the Babcock widening, they're proposing, I think, a 10 or 12-foot trail that would be on one side of the road that would be offset from the roadway by a certain amount. Provide a little bit more of a comfortable facility than the 6-foot sidewalk that's right adjacent to the roadway. So.
Awesome. And then with a project like this, would you need city resources to support it, or do you just kind of need our consent to be able to go in, or our support to be able to go in and do it yourselves with different funding and stuff like that?
So I would say probably a mix of both, but really what we're looking for is really support from the local agency where they want to push these different projects forward. And just to kind of go back to the list, while we have a ranking, if there's one of these that you all look at and say, well, we want to move number 14 and we want to push that one forward, if y'all are willing to either bring funding, resources, whatever that may be to the table, that's certainly one that could move up to the list. So really we're in that kind of fact-finding stage. We've done the analysis, we've done the work, we have the prioritized list. Now we're looking for partners to really kind of be able to push these things forward and take them to the next step. So.
All right, awesome. Thank you for your presentation.
Councilman Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for the presentation, sir. I'm looking at the comments received and the feedback, and I'm seeing estimated, I guess, how many, this was slide 13. As I'm looking at the numbers, 14 comments, 70 attendees, 24 attendees. Estimated, how many people would you say you reached out to, or how many people have y'all attempted to connect with for feedback in regards to this plan?
I would say, the numbers that we have up here, that's what we documented for the online mapping tool, and then we had over 70 attendees for the public open house. So I would say the numbers that you have up here, 14 comments received for the online tool, 11 comments via email or phone calls, and then we had 70 folks come out to the public meeting. Yeah. So, yeah.
Those are just who obviously showed up. It's very difficult to get people excited about transportation projects. We did boost social media posts, so we invested, funding to all of the social media platforms, sent it out to all of the local community centers and libraries to post up in their centers. And so I feel like we do a really good job of reaching out to invite people. It's sometimes hard to get more than, which 70 showing up is huge, so.
Can you state your name?
Oh, yeah, Sarah Crom, Senior Transportation Planner, Space Coast TPO.
Thank you. Carry on.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because it's the same with us. We advertise our budget meetings everywhere, and we'll get Bill. But no, I appreciate that. I appreciate the presentation. My main thing is I want to make sure Brevard County, our commissioners and everybody are contributing just as much too. When you look at roads like Malabar Road or Babcock, they're contributing just as much as well, because you said it's a mix of both, but it takes all the stakeholders. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for what you do. Where's Mrs. Georgiana? I appreciate everything you do, ma'am. Thank y'all. And tell the rest of the staff we're thankful as well. So thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Can we talk about the tentative timeline? Can you talk about that, what that looks like? To me, it looks like 30 years. I'll be 72.
And I won't be here. I might be. Yeah.
Yep. So where we're at today, so we have no shovel-ready projects. So, the next step would be a feasibility study. So that's, like I said, we're looking for that partner or partners to help work with us to identify what would be that one trail facility that they would want to push forward. It would go into that feasibility study, so that'd be a little bit more rigor on kind of the engineering, getting into some of the environmental features as well, really making sure that that trail could move forward into a potential design phase. And then from there, hopefully everything's good. We move into design, another couple years for that. And then ultimately, hopefully no right-of-way acquisitions, but that adds time if so, and then on to construction. So
What is the budget you think for the feasibility study?
I would say about typically a feasibility is 200 to 300,000. And we potentially, I should say, have some money that within our Unified Planning Work Program, so our staff budget of getting that feasibility going. Obviously, we need to do some coordination efforts, reaching back out to our working group and kind of asking them, what is the trail that you guys would like us to focus on and move forward in feasibility, as well as just timing, the staff timing, with the TPO staff to administer that feasibility study. Once feasibility study is done, we'll have a much better picture. And it's going to be a matter of the funding falling into place.
A general question, I guess, for maybe the presenter and staff is, like, would this fall under Parks and Recreation, and could impact fees pay for this if these are considered linear parks, for instance? And I know we're looking at a lot of several different development deals that are going on through the city, and a lot of these developers are starting to present their own linear parks as well that I think are open to the public. But I think it's a good opportunity for these linear parks to be funded by impact fees or developers.
Yeah, I think alternative funding sources are going to become even more critical and important as we continue with, as you all know, with some of the shortfalls with Malabar and getting Babcock and some of these other big road projects. And so anything that we can do to leverage, the local dollars and then reinvest those back into the community, I think is great.
Yeah, because for like the land development code, for example, if a developer could reallocate the money for the general use of the city and do a linear park through the city instead of on their tract of land, that would benefit the city as a whole. And that developer could essentially get credits for providing these linear parks in other parts of the city. So something to explore with staff.
Having a plan like this, I think, gives you, a little bit, having a plan like this gives you a little bit more, I don't want to say teeth when talking to the developers, but, if there's documentation that it's supported, and, we will be adopting this as an amendment to our Bikeman Master Plan at the TPO board meeting in September, I think goes a long way in grant funding and those conversations with developers.
That concludes my questions.
Thank you. Councilman Hammer, do you have any questions? Madam Moscone?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, I
carry
do.
on.
It looks like number 1, I think it is. Does that include the grapefruit trail?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear him.
The-
Oh, we do have the grapefruit trails mapped on the existing trails, yes.
Okay. Anything that comes forward, I'm going to be behind Babcock. Anytime I see the word Babcock in funding, my ears perk up. So I would be behind, Babcock being number 1.
Okay, does that conclude your comments and questions, Councilman Hammer?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Madam Moscone?
Thank you, Mayor. Deputy Mayor Jaffe, your question is a good one, and yes, adding a recreational trail as a new amenity is Parks Impact Fee eligible. Certainly, we're looking at that already in terms of the Parks Master Plan, for example, in Fred Poppy Regional Park, includes some recreation trail elements, and as we continue to expand our master planning efforts for recreation, we're hearing the message that people want off-road trails, but also for our transportation projects. And one of the next presentations we're going to talk about is our legislative priorities that include a lot of requests for transportation projects, and including those trails in there is certainly something the city wants to prioritize. And lastly, your point is very good about what can we do to encourage developers to include this. I know this is something that Lisa is very passionate about. She definitely looks for trails when her staff is reviewing them, and Jason is going to be looking at that as part of the land development code. What are some incentives that we can offer to offset particular code requirements, but in exchange, they could provide a trail or donate recreation space?
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you for the presentation. I think you've got plenty of feedback from us.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're now on item, presentations number 2. Madam Moscone?
Mayor, did Mr. Benton have a card for this?
I did have a speaker card.
Okay.
I've never seen a speaker card on a presentation before, sorry, Mayor.
Okay, well, carry on. Master Chief Batten?
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. First, I'd like to say thanks, Sarah. I contacted her and had some very nice conversations with her regarding the trails. The first one, I understand why I did not know about the meetings, because I'm the type of person that attends meetings like this. Well, I don't attend social media at all. I don't have Facebook. I don't do any of those things. So, of course, it was not posted anywhere on the city's website that something like this was happening or when the meeting would have been there, because that's the only place I get my scheduling from the city is from the city's website. So that's why I didn't know anything about this, but that's I guess, the reality of the beast. But out of the conversations with them, I brought up one was, will e-bikes be eligible on the walking trails? E-bikes or biking trails, will they be e-bike authorized? The next one was, I didn't see anything in the presentation as regarding of horseback trails within it. I did see where the horse trails are in the brown. A lot of those are horse trails and some of them are or not. But then when I'm looking at the new potential trails that showed off-road, was the criteria to make some of those off-road trails horse capable, just to increase on our equine standing within the county. We have nothing. The largest city in Brevard County has 0 equine standing, which is pretty bad, right? The other one was, I was looking down like at Aston Park, going into the Eels property and stuff like this, of how they have their horse trails adjoining into Aston Park, which I think is a very smart move, because that's getting the developers involved in what their presentation and to work with it. But I couldn't see anything on their trail proposal, but they said, Bill, we're looking like this from 10,000 feet up. We're not looking at reading the signs, right? And the last one was, could they potentially on some of these trails that are eligible for horses, if you could have some kind of sign that says what etiquette is on trails, because people don't realize that that's a living creature and it has its own mind, and it doesn't respond the same way a machine does or a person walking. it can be detrimental to the person that's being a-hole, or it can be detrimental to the rider. It could be dangerous. So a little bit of etiquette posting would be nice. Thank you very much. And again, I'd like to thank Sarah for returning my calls to help answer some of my questions. And a lot of it boils back down to hometown rule. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all great points, Sarah. In particular, the equine. I know he loves to horseback ride and joining that proposed Ashton Park Equine Trail as well. So thank you, Master Chief Batten. Okay, Madam Mosconi, we're now on item number 2.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you know, in even years, the state legislative session starts in January. So it's that time of year for Andrew Colell, our lobbyist representatives from Sunrise Consulting, to give you a recap of last year's legislative session and a short look ahead at 2026. And if council will permit the discussion, I would like to present to you some ideas that we potentially have, get your feedback on priorities that you all would like to see us present so that we could prepare to come back to you in September with a list of firm legislative priorities. So from here, I'll turn it over to Andrew.
Carry on.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor, council, deputy city manager, members of staff, thank you for having me here. As assistant city manager mentioned, Andrew Colell with Sunrise Consulting Group. Many of you know I work with Sean Foster. He can't be here tonight. He is in Chicago and sends his best to everybody. Before we start, I just want to thank y'all for letting us represent you. We are very passionate about representing the city. It is truly a great organization to represent and one of the most professional organizations that we represent. The city always has everything together, and it's an ease to represent you when you ask for something and the data comes with a bow. So I appreciate that very much. Was an interesting session. It was a 105-day long session, one of the longest in history. As I go through this presentation, I want you to consider a couple overarching themes. I want you to consider that there was some tension and conflicting priorities and policy between our two chambers, the House and Senate, as you may have seen in the news. And a lot of what I'm about to say you've probably seen in the news. And there was significant disagreement on taxing and spending. Now, it's great when we have elected officials who are arguing about how to give you your money back, right? But that is what kind of held the session up and what made it take longer. One other thing I want to say is your delegation's been phenomenal. We've been down a delegation member this entire session. As you guys know, Representative Fine, or Senator Fine, became Congressman Fine. And he was there for a short while, and he did what he could to help the city. He put in your projects. He took a few meetings with us, but he was out in the middle of session. And so we were just left with your state representative, who has been phenomenal. Her open door policy with us on your behalf has been great. She, of all the cities we represent, she proactively asks me throughout the week about what's going on with the city, what can I do for them, and she is truly a fighter for you guys, and she's made my job a lot easier. I mean, she's been great. So each one of you, I know you have your relationships with your delegation. Thank your delegation, if you haven't already, for the work that they did for the city during session. So what we're going to do is go over session generally, talk about the budget a bit, talk about some bills. I'm going to go through the bills really fast. I'm going to kind of say what they are. I'm not going to get into details. If you have questions, we go back to that. I usually like to talk about bills that didn't pass, but I won't get to that. We're going to talk about property taxes a bit. I've scratched the outlook, and then we'll talk about going forward as the deputy city manager talked about. Like I said, longest session we've ever had. The legislature passed 20% fewer bills this year than they have in the previous year. Back to my statement about disagreements and priorities, conflicting policy proposals, there wasn't a lot of bills presented. I don't want to say there wasn't a lot of work done, because there were still workshops during the committee process, right? If we look back at Schoolhouse Rocks, your first bill hearing is the committee process. And so there were some presentations, but they didn't really start hearing bills in committee and moving them to the next step until really later through the committee process, which led to 20% fewer bills being passed, which life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is safe when the legislature is not passing bills, so that's okay. Some things that they did take on: tax reform, and I know my audience as I say this, fluoride regulations, the Free Kill Act, barring parents from being able to sue healthcare providers when a loved one is lost, when their child is lost, if their child's unmarried. Significant hemp legislation didn't make it through, but very interesting to watch how they took that on. Some ballot initiatives, and then I found this interesting, they enhanced the charge for using a tracking device when committing a crime. Everybody's using Apple AirTags to stalk each other. So the state budget, when we talk about some of that contention, for reference, this budget this year is not this year, in June, current fiscal year, which ended in June, we're now in a new fiscal year, was $117 billion. The way the process works is each chamber proposes what their proposed budget is. But then the governor comes out with his proposed governor's recommended budget. So the Senate came up with $117.3 billion. Then the governor came up with $115.6. He always comes in lower than the Senate. Then the House came up with $112.9 billion after the governor came out with his. Now, they ultimately settled at $115.1 billion, but when you think about back to the conflicting priorities, we talked about they're conflicting on what they're going to spend. You've got the Senate saying we're going to spend roughly what we've spent. You've got the governor saying, no, we're going to cut it. And then you've got the House, who kind of wanted to, what appeared to take the lead on spending, come in with an even lower budget, which led to some of the confliction during the legislative session. When we look at the budget, I just want to highlight a few things that happened here in Brevard County for your situational awareness. Obviously, the last one we're aware of, the Brevard Sheriff received $10 million for a training center, but that was in the news, it's very public. Two other things that were interesting was a nonprofit received some money for housing homeless veterans, something I would assume is important to council, and that the school district received $1 million for some kind of CTE aviation training facility. So money, state tax dollars that flow up to the state being spent back in your community. The city of Palm Bay, when we reflect back on the work of your delegation members, received $1 million for some water quality projects within Turkey Creek. The city also, from the legislature, received $500,000 for a fiber optic project, and $80,000 for something at the police department's communication center. However, both of those were vetoed, but still, from the hard work of myself and Sean and your delegation, to get the money in the budget is not necessarily the easiest thing. And I also want to go back to this $80,000. I forgot to mention Representative Brackett, who doesn't represent a large portion of Palm Bay, but always with open arms says, what can I do to help you guys? So please thank Representative Brackett as well. So getting back to the spending and the taxation, right? We can't figure out what we're going to spend unless we figure out what we're going to tax. And so they do a tax package every year. Real quick, they repealed the business rent tax. They made NASCAR championship tickets tax-free, a whole host of other things. If you have questions, we can go back to it. Senate Bill 1080, this bill is very interesting. This bill actually died on the Senate floor, which I haven't seen a bill die on a chamber floor really in my time. I haven't heard of one dying on the chamber floor in quite a while. Has to do with development. 683 has to do with synthetic turf, which we don't really do here in Palm Bay. Preempting that, and it has to do with public works projects change orders, paying those promptly. House Bill 551 has to do with the city creating a process for fire sprinkler and fire alarm permitting, expediting that process if it's less than 20 devices. 381 is a bill that helps developers pre-sell their homes faster and will require certain platting to be done and issuing parcel ID numbers in a quicker process. 818, very interesting bill. What this bill would have done was it would have required local governments to actually take on the cost of any kind of utility, not electric and not water, because of course water is yours, but any kind of internet and telephone utility infrastructure when you're doing your own project, whether you're putting in a road, widening a road, and you ask the utility to move their infrastructure, the city was going to have to pay for it, all of it. And that was a huge, huge cost. Where that bill landed is vastly different. The city did take a small hit in that process, but very different than how that bill started, and I'd love to talk about that later. A big, very important bill that you all may have heard about through the League of Cities, through various news outlets, is Senate Bill 180. This is an emergency preparedness bill. And in this bill is a lot of good things that have to do with preparing the state for responding for storms. But this bill is also largely a land development bill. And there's some things in this bill that say the city cannot enact a moratorium on building, and it cannot make any changes to its land development ordinances, code, policies or procedures that are more burdensome than the status quo for 1 year following a named storm passing through within 100 miles of the city. There's a lot of conversation about that. I believe the legislature is going to be making some changes potentially to that, at least the information that I've heard, but a very impactful bill. Two other bills, of course, are Live Local, which I don't need to talk about here at this podium. We've discussed that during session, I think, with each of you individually. And then there's another bill that passed that will allow the city to use its revenue from its sewer system to expand its sewer system. So it unrestricts that revenue to use that revenue to reinvest to expand the sewer system. The property tax conversation. So you had the governor come out and say that we should remove property taxes, the tourists should be paying to fund the government operations, with really no proposed plan. And that's often happens. The governor says, I think we should do this. Legislature, bring me that type of bill. The legislature, the Senate initially didn't really react much to that. The House formed a select committee, and in that formation of that select committee, the House Speaker came up with a couple ideas that he kicked over to that select committee. That committee's had 2 hearings. The first hearing, they actually considered those proposals that the House Speaker came up, and the legislators commented on that. And then on the second hearing, the state economist came and did a presentation on how property taxes work to the legislators. Most of them haven't served in local government, so the economist kind of explained that process and told them to go back and work with their local governments to understand the property tax process a little bit better. One other thing that came out of the tax package that relates to this is a study by the state economist on the reduction and removal of property taxes. What's interesting is that the legislature put that language in that the state economist should do that study, gave them $1 million to do that study, and then the governor subsequently vetoed that $1 million. However, the policy is still there that they should work and complete that study. Looking ahead, as Deputy City Manager mentioned, the legislative sessions go back and forth. One year it's January, February, the next year it's March, April. So this upcoming year, we're going into a January, February session coming out of what was the longest session quite possibly ever. So I feel like I haven't had a second to relax. And so with that, we need to think about our priorities coming up for the 2026 session, as Deputy City Manager mentioned. Because in my opinion, I think the city should have some of its priorities together, not towards the end of September, not the end of September. And in talking with your delegation, I think that would be a good time. Mayor may have 30 more seconds. Final piece of that is the delegation meeting coming up. I think it's September 30th or something like that. I had the date written down up in Vieira. Historically, city manager has presented, but I think one of the council should present, if I may, and for y'all to discuss amongst yourselves for that. But that is it for me, and then I'll turn over to you to discuss appropriations.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you for your hard work on our behalf, and give our best to Sean. Hope he's enjoying Chicago, although I don't see how we can.
He is there for work, so.
Copy that, sir. Madam Moscone.
Thank you, Mayor. So to get ahead of developing a state legislative priority list for you all, I feel like what we've done historically is brought you a list and then got your opinion with the list and made some modifications to the list. So what we wanted to do is instead have a little feedback this evening. So our office asked staff to prepare some very preliminary draft potential legislative requests, and Andrew and I have discussed all of these to see which ones would be possibly the most feasible. And I wanted to just run through the list with you all, take your feedback on any of them, and add to it any that are a priority for you as a governing body.
Carry on.
Thank you. So first, I'm going to talk about the police department. This is very, very timely. We had a wonderful meeting with Representative Miller and a representative from FWC just yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yes, and of course, Chief and Deputy Chief out at the range. And of course, yesterday morning, or we had, Wednesday morning, we had the plaque ceremony for Sergeant Frank Tobar. So what the police department is recommending is phase 2 of the police range upgrades. We're very fortunate to have phase 1 funded via appropriations last year. And what we're looking for is another $1.5 million to create the Sergeant Frank Tobar Regional Tactical Training Building. Andrew and I have discussed this. We think it would have a lot of positive support. One thing I do want to note is that Representative Miller is asking for a 50% match on appropriations this year. So something to keep in mind as we move forward. Fire department has put together a request for, first they'll be bringing forward an apparatus for your consideration, trying to get ahead of some of our capital needs. And the other item is for Fire Station 8. This is the station that we're planning at the intersection of St. John's Heritage Parkway and Malabar Road. This would be for the site work. Now, you all have previously approved the designer to start the design of the site work. This would actually be in the construction of the site. We're estimating that at $2.8 million. Moving on to Public Works, quite a few items there. one of which is the expansion of the ITS program. As you know, the TPO was very successful in bringing several ITS projects already to the city of Palm Bay, and we also received a energy efficiency and conservation block grant to further expand that program. And this would be the third phase of expanding the ITS, and that's for the benefit of the public. That's a traffic control system that kind of times all the lights together to try to expedite traffic flow through the city.
The ITS standing for Intelligent Traffic System?
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Carry on.
Another option would be Babcock. We heard Councilman Hammer talk about the importance of Babcock, and we certainly agree. It also came up in the Brevard Trails plan. The challenge that Babcock that we need to work through is there is an existing PD&E study. And the study is not complete because the funding, the fiscal obligation of what it would take to widen in Babcock was so substantial that the study was never actually finalized. So what we're being told by the most recent FDOT rep that we spoke to is that we would need another study, and what we're targeting is like a phase section. Staff's proposing from Malabar to Convair Street as the first section to propose widening. But we want more information because we don't necessarily want to present a study to the state legislature. We want to say, hey, we actually have done a study and this is where the study landed and we're ready to begin design and construction. So still some work to do on that one. Another project is looking at the widening of Emerson and also the widening of San Filippo. Challenges with these projects are, again, for certain funding types, you do need to do a PD&E study first.
Right.
So both of those would be PD&E studies. You know, Andrew and I have spoken, studies are not often funded by the state legislature. And then another project would be Malabar Road and Emerson Drive intersection improvements. We actually think that would be a good project that the council should consider. And then lastly, I wanted to mention utilities. So utilities, we are looking at, with council's permission, the next phase of the septic to sewer funding tranche to further expand that program, the match being our waiver of impact fees. We're also considering whether we could look at upgrading our SCADA software and equipment in combination with the IT department as a cybersecurity initiative, although the tranche would be actually a water project. So those are some projects that staff has generated, but we would love to hear council's ideas for priorities with the intent of bringing you an actionable list in September.
So I do have a few questions. When you're talking about, just for clarification as well, we didn't receive anything for the range improvement this last session. We received that 2 sessions ago, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and we received, what was it, 1.4 million for that? Or 1.5?
1.2.
1.2? Okay. So in that regard, the improvements, because Representative Miller is looking for 50% match, what are we estimating that regarding the PD project?
So this next phase would be 1.5 million. Currently, we originally proposed, and this is what I requested staff to do, so they did the right thing. They're proposing a $300,000 match. Andrew and I did talk about the possibility of approaching our delegates if we do not, in fact, have a 50% match. Do also remember that we have set aside some capital funding for future public safety complexes and buildings. That's a possibility. We could certainly look at PD impact fees. We'd have to look at it more closely. I don't have that answer for you fully right now.
Okay, because that's gonna weigh a big deal if she's asking for 50% match, and we're gonna come and say, well, we only have 300,000 on the 1.5, right? So that's an area of concern. The fire station looks like we've tried with fire stations before, Councilman Johnson, and it was shot down. What we've been really successful in is our water quality projects. So if we could focus on these are my suggestions. I don't mind putting in for anything else, but water quality projects is, I think, crucial. And I think the timing is right. Septic to sewer, however we focus on that. Keeping in mind, I'm not sure about the 50% match. I'll be getting to you, sir. But that is something that we should be considering. Was it a fire truck as well, or was it just a fire station? An apparatus, right? See, I kind of like those items, gentlemen. Public safety, I don't know how well we'll do, but I think that should be our focus, whether it's the range. I think we didn't get anything with the range that we submitted this last session, because the sheriff was very successful in getting his regional range, right? So I'm hoping that since he's already gotten his 10 million, that we're able to get something this go around. So those are my thoughts, gentlemen. I think water quality, our public safety, and definitely ITS, the intelligent traffic signals. That's something that I've been harping on for 5 years, as you know, Councilman Johnson knows. So those would be my comments, and I'll start with Councilman Langevin. And then after Councilman Langevin, I want to get Councilman Hammer's take on this, and then I'll go on to you and Deputy Mayor. So Councilman Langevin?
Thank you, Mayor. So my thought process is a little bit different. I don't want to do a single water quality appropriation this year, and here's the reason why. Besides the fact that we just got $1 million for water quality appropriations, I do think you're right, Mayor. The governor loves the water quality appropriations from Palm Bay. I think the governor's great. He's my favorite governor, but the governor wants to come to the Marine Resource Council once a year and do a press conference and show the people of the state of Florida that he helped water quality. That's great. But I was elected to help the people of Palm Bay. And Palm Bay's #1 priority right now is not the river. The Marine Resource Council just said the river's doing great, Turkey Creek's looking good. We've actually got a lot of positive reviews, and again, we just got $1 million in water quality. But the problem is if we put one water quality project in, it's going to pass. It's not going to get, everything else is going to get vetoed, and the one water quality project is going to pass. So my recommendation is that we focus only on public safety and maybe roads, and force him to pick a public safety initiative. And if he wants to veto every single one, that's his prerogative. But the policies of the administration right now, very positive. I love the policies through COVID, but that has driven the growth that we see in Palm Bay. The state has driven the growth that we see in Palm Bay, and we're behind on public safety and roads because of the growth that the administration has. Right, and I agree with with his policies, but that's just the reality. It's driven the growth that we've seen, and they continue to brag in the state that they've got, you know, some of the best reserves. They've paid off all this debt. Well, we pay taxes here to the state. We're asking for some of it back, and we're asking them to help us with our growth. Quite frankly, the river's going in a great direction. We just got $1 million. We need to focus all of our priorities and all of our resources on catching up the infrastructure and the public safety to match this growth.
All right, thank you. Councilman Hammer?
I always like the word Babcock being used. I am also interested in the Emerson and Malabar issue that we have there. I would like to see something come up for that because I know that's going to be detrimental to other things. But I am going to be 100% towards our infrastructure. We need roads. Anything we can do with roads, especially Babcock. We have an opportunity to have SEOT involved with the bridge. We have TPO for this agreement we're talking about earlier. I think we have a good chance on getting funding for Babcock there. I really do think we should be pushing towards road capacity. I think road capacity is one of our biggest problems, and we need to be showing that in full force.
Okay,
the other thing I would address is maybe lift stations, some kind of funding for our lift stations.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Johnson?
I understand where everybody's coming from. I understand where you're coming from, Councilman Langevin. I'm torn. because the water quality keeps the tourism in this, we can look at it from a multifaceted way in regards to just protecting the ecosystem, what we have, Turkey Creek, the Indian River Lagoon, but people don't realize how much money that generates for the community. So that's why that's important. Yeah, $1 billion. But to the same point, we as the city got to do our part, making sure we're not having spillages, which I'm grateful for Mr. Morton acting so quickly on getting it cleaned up. So I'm torn because I want to go forth with what we know has the highest likelihood of being passed. And right now, he's been speaking on water quality, so that's what he's been in front of the press conferences on. So I know that has a higher likelihood of being passed. But I don't want us to just also assume that he's going to not pass public safety this year either. So I feel like, let's go forth with both. Who knows what may happen or may not happen, but we don't want to just, what I say it all the time, you can't complain about what you allow. So if we just hold back and we don't ask those questions, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So let's just take those shots, see where we can go from there. I'm also going to put my neck out on the limb. And this is me personally as a councilman representing the city, but our high schools are so lost. I volunteer at a lot of our high schools. Our children are so lost. And while, like I said, I'm going out on a limb, I already talked to a pastor about it, but while it is allowed in high schools, I do think the study of the Bible from a secular standpoint, so it's not sued, as an elective should be a mandatory study. It's been attempted about 5-6 years ago, but I just see how lost these kids are. They're so caught up in their phones and technology, and parents are so, I was just told by an officer on Tuesday that a parent brought their child to the city hall so the officer can reprimand them and discipline them. And that's the problem with our society. This country was founded on biblical foundations. Whether people want to disagree or not, that's what it was. So to make sure, there's no case for lawsuits or anything of that nature, it needs to be in a secular historical standpoint in regards to biblical studies. But that's something I feel, Mayor. That's just me personally.
Well, to that point, I'm going to weigh in. If they study American history from the Revolutionary War, they will find how many clergy, how many biblical principles are part of our history. So that's in a secular realm, right?
Yes, sir.
So does that conclude your comments regarding our?
Yeah, I think I'm good. Yeah, that's it,
Okay.
sir.
Deputy Mayor, I know that you sit on the TPO, and I know Mike Hammer sits on the TPO along with Councilman Langevin. My concern is trying to get appropriations for PD&E studies. That is a concern now. If there's already a PD&E study putting in for those type of appropriations, I'm good with. But carry on.
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't think we should try for appropriations for PD&E studies, but I do have a question. If a PD&E study was done, how long do they last? Someone interested?
Yes, 5 years. I'm getting an indication of 5 years from the audience.
Okay. So, it seems like we should be setting money aside in the budget to go ahead and start performing these PD&Es so we can be ready for, the next appropriations to ask for these projects. Maybe a twist on the water quality play would be a Menzimuck. A Menzimuck. I know there's, a capital, request from Public Works to purchase a Menzimuck. Those are, $500,000 or $600,000. That is specifically designed to improve the quality of our canals, which in essence is a water quality project. So that potentially is a play. But to Chandler's or Councilman Langevin point, I do agree the policies of our state government is why we are in the position we're in today with overgrowth and lack of roads and lack of fire stations. And I think an easy grab would be the intelligent traffic system. I think the Babcock and Emerson and Malabar corridor would be nice. And the police range project. And then I think anytime you're asking for negotiations or asking for things, you ask for a longer list, knowing some items are going to get stricken away. And, with that being said, I think the fire station project and the apparatus project should be those two items that we asked for in the hopes that they veto those and grant us favor in other areas. If we only come with three projects and they veto two, we get one. Let's ask for six, veto three, you end up with three, right? Just my recommendation. Love to hear the lobbyist's point of view on that, but that concludes my comments.
Thank you. I concur. Deputy Mayor, I stand in agreement. I'd rather have a bigger list if we're going to talk about water quality. I like your take on the water quality because that's something I'd like to get staff's input on that, if that's something that they feel is necessary. But anything in that respect, it is a water quality part of the infrastructure, right, that we would be asking. What's Public Works comment on that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and ask Public Works to either Kevin or Christine to come up and talk about their thoughts on a Menzie muck being a water quality type equipment. And for Andrew, for your benefit, that's a heavy piece of equipment that is used for canal dredging and cleanup. And I'll let Kevin talk more about it.
And to me, it provides a regional impact, really, because other municipalities dump into our canals that eventually flow out to the St. John's.
Thank you. Mayor, Council, Deputy City Manager, Kevin Brinkley, Public Works Director. Ironically, that came up with our grants coordinator this afternoon. And then again, as we were speaking with Andrew. So it's something that we have considered, and we're looking, is it something that we can apply for? Or do the grants cover pieces of equipment used for basically cleaning and clearing of vegetation? So it is under consideration. We're investigating it, and we'd be happy to report back as we find. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Mr. Brinkley. That does, and I'd like to ask Mr. Colell to come back up and address two things.
First of all, what would that cost? Do we have a cost on that?
$650,000.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Plus an operator.
Yeah.
It's two employees that take to run it, correct? Is it?
One operator you'd want to train two for redundancy, so yes.
If you could address how many items you recommend, if there's a magic number, if there's too much, too many, and then also some of the things we've talked about, is there a concern at all about putting in an appropriation for something that there is a state grant readily available?
So I'll start with that part first and go back to the new word I just learned, a Menzie muck, if I said that correctly. I'm sure I mucked it up. So there is no magic number, and I may have said this to you earlier. I've represented local governments where their delegation is becoming the Senate president or becoming the House Speaker, and so, or the appropriations chairman. And I've also witnessed local governments who have some type of real power behind their delegation members. Also not, you would just, the outcome, there is no formula. I don't feel comfortable. It's also like, what is your goal? If council tells me, Andrew, we would like to see some reinvestment from Tallahassee in our city, it is hard because the state legislature has historically granted water quality projects, and to Councilman Langevin's point, the governor has approved those projects. I do believe that there is a calculation somewhere, depending on who your legislator is, within the bowels of staff in the House and Senate of how much money are we pumping into one locality. So if you're putting in a lot of water projects, and they're like, hey, we like these, but also insert parentheses to the water projects, we have been successful, and there are grants for every single one of these water projects that I do believe the city does take the time to apply for, and I think that's recognized by the staff and decision makers. And it's kind of a crud shoot because there's other programs out there where there's grants we've applied. You put in, and when Councilman Hammer mentioned the lift stations, those can be funded out of hazard mitigation grant programs, which, as we well know, is extremely difficult to get done. And I've seen a lot of lift stations vetoed because there's a grant for that, and I've seen some approved. So it's hard to answer that. But to the Menzie muck, I explored this with a algae harvester. Would that piece of equipment potentially be utilized between more than one locality? Like, could the county use it? Could the Water Control District use it? Could West Melbourne use it? And if so, if that's true, what I recommend on that project is let's look with our partners and see, because like if we look at the usable hours of that machine, Palm Bay is not going to use 100% of that machine's like capacity, right? So if other localities can use that machine 15%, 20%, and Palm Bay is going to eat up 55% of it, then I think we do a joint request. One entity has to be the one to submit it, right? Maybe that's Palm Bay, maybe that's the county. I don't know, I don't want to speak on behalf of them. And we do a local match that is shared equally or shared proportionally among the stakeholders that would use it. So if West Melbourne would use it 10% of the time, the machine's $650, our match for that is $325. Maybe we put in $150, $200, and then these other localities would provide the match. And I did this once with a harvester, and it was well received by their delegation. We ultimately did not file it because the county actually went out and bought one and started removing the algae just on their own. So we were like, well, we don't need this anymore. But I did explore that once, and that's a good way to do it. It's well received, I think. The final piece that I'll say is we have all these ideas, but we have to think about what is our individual representatives willing to fight for. What relationships do they have, right? Senator Mayfield has good relationships, and I don't know off the top of my head, perhaps she has an incredible relationship with the transportation chairman and not such a good relationship with the person who funds water projects. And so we have to promulgate these requests, take them and ask our delegation, what do you think? Because at the end of the day, if they have a good relationship with someone, it's going to be easier for them to fight for the city than if somebody that they just don't know as well. So, that's all.
So in a nutshell, the amount on the list, to Deputy Mayor's point, what would be a sweet spot?
Historically, the city has always put in between 3 and 5 projects. We have put in more than one water project usually each year. And again, I do agree that it potentially could go at a loss to some kind of transportation project, but I'd like to say that we have gotten St. John's Heritage Parkway. We do get transportation projects funded. This is my prescription that I don't think is the universal standard. I think it's good to put in one public safety type, state administration funding, fire safety, one criminal justice. We know that the police department's obviously something that the legislature's interested in funding in. That comes out of different silos. Maybe put in one water project, and maybe put in one general government project. I mean, you don't want to put in 4 water projects, and you don't want to put in 5 transportation projects, because then your state legislators have to bug that same chairman for 4 projects.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Ms. Moscone, do you have enough based on our discussion?
Yes, ample. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. So we'll be moving on. So we are now on our new business item number 1, if I'm tracking correctly at this point. And before we do, this item has 3 different co-sponsor requests. We are now on new business item number 1. And one of these, I will be abstaining from. And so before I even go down this page, I'm going to suggest that our city attorney make some comments regarding, in particular, for new business item number 1, but the second item that's listed, number 2, the Family Christmas Extravaganza co-sponsorship application. Madam Attorney?
Yes, Mayor Medina will be abstaining for the Family Christmas Extravaganza application. Mayor Medina is able to abstain if there is an actual or if there appears to be a conflict. In this case, the mayor has chosen to abstain. He's done this on a number of years. He asked me to consult with the Commission on Ethics regarding his relationship with the house church. He is not paid, but he is an unpaid pastor at the house church, and he has been advised, and he has followed that advice since, to abstain to avoid the appearance that there may be a conflict.
Thank you, ma'am. So with that being said, Madam Moscone, please present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first tranche, if you will, of co-sponsorships following Council's revision to the co-sponsorship policy on May 1st, 2025. I'm going to ask Daniel Waite, our Recreation Director, to come up and tell you about our applicants.
Good evening, Council. So this year, based on the new policy that was effective May 1st, we did have an application window for the fall and winter events. We received 4 applications. 3 of them went through the co-sponsorship process. One of the applicants actually qualified for the administrative approval, which means that the fees that were being waived were under $1,500. So the 3 applications you have are the Viva Brevard Festival, hosted by the Brevard Hispanic Center, the 17th Annual Christmas Extravaganza at Fred Poppy Regional Park, and then the Indian Kite Festival at Fred Poppy Regional Park as well. All 3 of these applicants have received co-sponsorships in the past as well. Some of the major changes to this co-sponsorship policy: facility and equipment rental fees are waived through this co-sponsorship policy, and labor costs for the day of, which also includes the setting up of some of the equipment, will be paid for by the organization. And each event is subject to coordinations with all the departments, payment and insurance compliance through our city attorney's office. So just to give you an overall view, total with the 3 of them, we are looking at about just over $12,000 in fee waivers, and the estimated cost based on the applications that were submitted is $11,400, over $400, in which the applicants will be responsible for paying the city.
Mr. Waite?
Yes.
I need you to separate those.
Okay.
Don't talk about them collectively because I'm abstaining out of one. So I need to actually, we're going to discuss this separately, each and every item, and that's how we're going to move forward. So thank you.
So Viva Brevard, that one will be held November 22nd at Fred Poppy Regional Park. Prior history and projected attendance is around 1,000 attendees. The city will be waiving $4,107 in waiver fees, while the organization will be estimated to pay the city $2,821 for labor and staff. The 17th Annual Christmas Extravaganza on December 20th at Fred Poppy Regional Park. This event, based on history and projections, is expected to draw over 15,000 attendees. And for this one, the city will be waiving $4,107 in facility and equipment fees, and the organization, the original estimate came out they would owe the city $9,095. We were able, in lieu of some of the maintenance staff at the events, they are going to provide additional volunteers to assist with the setup, breakdown, and cleaning up of the event areas and the parking areas. So an additional $2,300 in additional labor fees was taken off the estimate for what they will owe us, but we will have left staff working that event for in lieu of those volunteers. That brings the total owed by that organization $6,785. The Indian Kite Festival, which takes place January 31st, 2026, Fred Poppy Regional Park. This one is expected to draw over 2,000 attendees. It is a shorter event. The organization will qualify for $3,857 in waived fees, and they will incur an estimated $1,854 in staffing costs.
Any questions, council?
No,
Councilman Johnson?
thank you for clarifying that, Mayor, because that makes it a lot better instead of, we separated them, so the number should be separate too, so.
Deputy Mayor, any questions?
No questions, Mayor.
Hold on. Councilman Hammer? Any questions of staff?
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we have just one public speaker, sir?
Yes, Mayor, we have Bill Batten.
Okay. Don't go far, Mr. Waite.
Bill Batten, excuse me, Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. I've got one request from going through the packet. The United Third Bridge with the Puerto Rican parade, they don't have to pay a cost. They don't have to pay for services rendered. They don't have to pay for setup. So I'd like to hear, if it's possible, if we could hear how that is possible, that one nonprofit organization gets it for nothing, while 3 other nonprofit organizations have to pay for it. I know it's based on a lawsuit, but I'd like for the public to hear what that is and how that came to be, if possible. And I'd also like to know what the total cost is for the Third Bridge for their parade. What is the actual outlay that it costs the city, right? And then a second item with this, not with pertaining to Third Bridge, but to pertaining to the 3 other nonprofit organizations. I am very happy to see that we're getting for labor and services that the organizations are paying that back to the city instead of the residents having to pay for that services. I think that was a very good move, and I applaud my council for making that recommendation and carrying through on it. It just makes it a little bit more fair. Thank you very much.
Okay. Madam Attorney?
Yes, sir. There was a lawsuit filed in 2007 in which the United Third Bridge filed a Section 1983 civil rights lawsuit against the city and alleged that the city had previously provided certain equipment and public facilities free of charge, and then the city decided that it would only provide those equipments and services for a fee. However, they alleged that there was no policy or procedure, and while they were being charged a fee, other groups, particularly other groups or other racial or ethnic groups, were still receiving it for free, and that the changes were targeted at burdening or chilling their First Amendment rights. The city and United Third Bridge entered into a mediated settlement in which, in exchange for United Third Bridge dismissing their lawsuit, the city agreed on certain stagings in a set parade route, gave them the option to purchase electricity from the city, made United Third Bridge responsible for cleanup and portable toilets. The city provided police and gave them the option to rent the stage based on the standard fee schedule. I do want to clarify, the only thing that the city actually agreed to pay for, which was police service. And up until we changed the co-sponsorship, that's the same thing that everybody else was getting. But that's the only thing that the settlement requires as far as what we pay is the police service.
Thank you, ma'am. So, Mr. Waite, I think at this, you have members of the partnership here today. Are you going to call on them for their presentation? Is that part of the plan, to have them speak on their presentation, or how are we moving forward?
So the applicants, all 3 are here. So if you guys have any questions for the applicants, they could come up and speak on their event.
Well,
but I could have them come up one by one and
Yeah,
present.
because keep in mind, I got to separate this, and you, this attempt of grouping them is really convoluting it as far as I'm concerned. So if I can, because I plan on removing myself from the dais.
Yep.
Right? So if I can, council, I'd like to do them present 1 and 3, and then we'll go back to 2 when I remove myself from the dais. Is that okay? Okay. So let's move along in that sequence. Okay. If you're going to have them present, the very first one would be item number 1, or 1.1.
Yep, so item 1, I'll have Javier come up with Brevard Hispanic Center to present.
Yes, I'm going to talk about the Viva Brevar Festival. That's a festival that we started in 2012. Basically, that was the idea of Mayor Medina to start that festival with Congressman Bill Posey. They came to me and they told me that they wanted to do that festival. I was doing a festival over there at the library, Palm Bay Library, and because they were doing some similar festival in Osceola County, they wanted to do it here in Brevard County, and I did it for them. And we've been doing that festival since 2012. Now that we have the Brevard Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which you guys are trustees, we also include a business expo, free for members of the Chamber of Commerce. So this is a great event, and we also incorporate art and culture. We have a program called the Painting Smiles of Brevard program that we provide an application to partner this year with the city of Palm Bay. So great things are offered at that festival, and that's something that is needed here in Brevard County, and we have done for many years, since 2012. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to co-sponsor with you guys and for so many years.
Thank you. Are there any questions, Council? Any questions, Councilman Hammer?
No, sir.
Seeing none, I need a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. We are now on item number 1.3. Mr. Waite.
All right, for this item, I'd like to call up some representatives from the Indian Association of the Space Coast to come up and present the Indian Kite Festival.
Hello, Mayor.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. So we've been successfully doing this Indian Kites Festival since last 2 years with the city of Palm Bay. We've been successful all those 2 years. We had good participants, over 2,000. We invite all the vendors, different food vendors, other local surrounded by the Florida. So the same thing, same concept we are going this year as well. January 31st, 2026. We are planning to do that, the same thing. So that's why we are here to request for you guys. So
Thank you.
Thank you allowing us to doing the same thing and continues to doing well.
Thank you. Any questions, Council?
No, Mayor.
Councilman Hammer, any questions on item 3 or 1.3?
No, sir.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson,
Second.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Yes.
I'd like the record to reflect nay.
Oh, as you were, passes 4-1. At this point, I'm going to pass on the gavel to Deputy Mayor Jaffe. Deputy Mayor, wait till I sit in the audience before you begin discussions, please. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Wade, now moving on to item 1.2, if you can ask the family extravaganza folks to come up.
Yep, so I'll call up representatives for the 17th Annual Christmas Extravaganza.
Hello, Council. Merry Christmas. It's 102 degrees every day, so I'm sure you're all thinking about Christmas this early, but it'll be here before you know it. So this year is our 17th Annual Family Christmas Extravaganza. Super excited. This has been near and dear to my heart for over 11 years now, and it's just an awesome event. I'm not sure how many people here in attendance have attended the event before, but there's so much value in this event. Just a quick synopsis of the event. Everything is FREE free. That goes from concessions, from hot dogs, cotton candy, popcorn, is all free of charge. The entertainment is not only provided at no cost as well, but we focus on local entertainers as well as that. We have face painting, we have rock walls, we have inflatables, so many opportunities for the families to really put their cell phone down, put their technology down for a day, and just have a family time together and celebrate Christmas. And it's usually just a few days. It's the third Saturday in December every year, right before Christmas. So it's perfect time for families to gather and fellowship and that sort of thing. But just the impact that I've seen, the growth that this event has had from the very beginning. As mentioned earlier, over 15,000 attendees throughout the day, not all at one time, but throughout the day, come to this event. So we've been very grateful for the city's partnership and over all the years that we've had this event. The value of what they provide doesn't go unnoticed. With that said, I do feel a little bit disheartened in terms of the costs of some of the fees that we are having to take on this year. In terms of some of the services that were previously provided. And you know, as I mentioned, this event is free of charge, so there's no cost to attend for parking, for anything. So we rely on all local businesses and partnerships and churches to fund the event. So that is a cost that we've not had to account for in the past. So we are going to move forward. We're going to adjust. We may have to shorten the event a little bit in terms of length of time, that sort of thing. So again, a little bit disappointed there, but we are going to move forward. We are very thankful. We want to make sure that that is clear. Very thankful for everything that the city does for this event, and I'm just really looking forward to this year. I think it's going to be the best year yet. I really, really do. We have a rock star team that not just gives of their time that day, but starting next week, we plan for 3-4 hours, week after week, all the way up until the event. So it's a lot of sacrifice and time that we put in to this event, and we're grateful for our families to allow us to be there to plan all those festivities. So just wanted to share that. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
Anybody on council have any questions? Councilman Hammer?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. I'll second it.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4 to 0.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So we are now, we moved item number 6, didn't we?
The only item we have is 5 and 6, I think.
Yep. No, we don't have items 5. So we're now on item number 6, Madam Smith? Or did we move that? Oh, no, we do have item number 6, Ms. Smith. Read the caption, please.
Mayor, we didn't move that up on the agenda item. We're on public comments now.
Oh, as you were. As you were. I lost my place. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So we're now on public comment. Pursuant to council's policies, the public comment portion of this meeting will not be broadcast or streamed live. Deputy Mayor?
Lance Fisher.
I wanted to bring something up again. At our last council meeting, Councilman Johnson was not present. And yet, 2 meetings, or the meeting before that, I had proposed a motion to reconsider. And in that motion, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Hammer, and myself voted to reconsider the public comments aspect of being broadcasted. And we didn't get an opportunity to have a discussion, Councilman Johnson, because, and we do commend you for not being able to make it because of where you were. I wanted to acknowledge that. It wasn't something that was planned initially by us, but you found it necessary to go into a session with your lovely family, with your wife. And so I commend you for that. And in my discussion, I withdrew the item because ultimately it would have been just a 2-2 vote again. So I wanted to bring this up According to our policy 7.914, motion to reconsider is the title. The reconsideration of issues previously acted upon is discouraged. If a council member desires to have an issue reconsidered that has been acted upon at a meeting within the past year, the council member must first approach council with a request to reconsider the item. A majority vote of the city council is required to schedule the item for a subsequent meeting for reconsideration. In other words, I just can't bring this up. I need a motion to reconsider on a vote that we previously took in May to remove the public comments portion of our meetings that were taken out of, for them to be broadcasted. So I'm going to, before we go into our consent agenda, I'm going to ask to see if there's an appetite for that. Councilman Johnson.
Yes, Mayor, that's why I hit the buzzer, because there is an appetite for me, so you say you need a motion, or?
Yes, sir, I would need a motion so that we could reconsider that at a following meeting.
So moved.
I've got a motion, and I will second that motion.
Second.
I've got a third, and Councilman Hammer. So I've got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Mayor Medina. Councilman, Deputy Mayor Jaffe.
Yeah, I have a question for the clerk as far as conduct a meeting. I believe council policy requires that we have an agenda item to make a motion. So I think the proper course would be somebody places this on discussion for the next meeting to be voted on, not just pull it up for a motion currently, like it's been done historically in the past.
Ms. Jones?
Yes, Mayor. Historically, when we've had items to reconsider, the council member would approach council to, like you said, see if there's an appetite for it. Then the item would be placed on an agenda for I'm trying to figure out the best way to word it. The reconsideration, the request to reconsider, not actually hear the item, it's just the request to reconsider would be placed on an agenda. Then if that is approved, then the actual item to be reconsidered would be placed on a subsequent meeting, if that makes sense.
Right now, I got a motion to reconsider in a second. Any additional discussion?
A question for the clerk. So, Mrs. Jones, you said historically, because I remember with Councilman Bailey, we had a situation like that where he brought something up and it was to be reconsidered, and then it did come up for a vote, followed after being passed by the reconsideration. You said historically, but is it required, is the question?
It's policy.
So it is policy, okay.
Are you still asking me?
Yeah, so voting on this would be going against council policy, correct? Yes or no?
Well, after conferring with our city attorney this afternoon, both of you are correct. The mayor's correct in the way he's doing it. You're also correct in the way that you're stating it. It can go either way. It's a matter of how council wants to vote on it. You can vote on it tonight, saying you want to approve the reconsideration, then the item would be brought back at the next meeting.
All right. No, nothing further.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Mayor Medina. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Jaffe.
Nay.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Hammer.
Aye.
Councilman Langevin.
Nay.
Mayor Medina.
Aye. Motion passes 3-2. We're now on consent. Anyone wish to pull an item from consent? I need a motion.
I'm making a motion to pass the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
I got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Langevin. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. We are now on item number 6. Madam Smith.
Ordinance 2025-31. An ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 7, Land Development Code, Chapter 174, Standards for Accessory, Temporary, and Other Uses and Structures, Subchapter Part 1, Accessory Uses and Structures, by increasing the number of backyard chickens permitted on single-family lots within certain zoning districts, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to open up the public hearing and refer to Madam Moscone.
Thank you, Mayor. For this item, I will ask Lisa Frazier, our Growth Management Director, to come and present the case.
Good evening. A textual amendment was requested by City Council to amend the Code of Ordinances regarding increasing the number of chickens which may be kept on single-family lots in the RE, RS1, RS2, RS3, and SRE zoning districts from today's current 4 to 6 chickens. When we're amending Chapter 174, the standards for accessory and temporary uses, it really is going to the regulation of animal housing and structures for backyard pets, and including chickens. The standards are outlined in your staff report. Chickens are defined as a domestic fowl developed in a number of breeds for their eggs. A fowl is defined as a chicken by the University of Florida Extension Service, and this definition shall not include ducks, geese, turkeys, pigeons, or guinea, and roosters are prohibited in the city. Accessory structures do require permits. Accessory, the definition of your accessory to a primary structure, so it does require a permit. Staff has recommended approval. P&Z recommended denial. I am available to answer any questions.
So I do have, would you happen to know how many eggs one chicken lays?
This is a trick question.
I'm asking.
No, I really do not know, but I know that chickens generally are viable egg layers, for 3 to 5 years. And they fall off very quickly after that.
And when you say they fall off, what happens to the chicken at that point? Do
they just become chickens?
They
or
become,
dinner.
And for like chicken soup?
Sure.
For chicken soup. So and I've said this before, gentlemen, and I recently was in Miami, and I seen a lot of feral chickens.
Yes.
Right, because I think what occurs is once the chicken outlive their egg producing years, they become feral, or people don't have them for dinner. Mm-hmm. They let them run wild, and the least thing I would hate for our city is to have several feral chickens. I know it sounds amusing, but I've seen it in Miami.
And in Smyrna Beach.
And in the Caribbean, I've seen it quite often. So that I wouldn't want our city to turn to that. I mentioned before, I like the sweet spot. So that's why that was my line of questioning. What happens after, they just don't produce any more eggs, and I'm not going to get into the life expectancy of a chicken at this point, but are there any questions, Council? Council? Yes, sir.
Well, I didn't watch the meeting, but what specifically was the reason why planning and zoning voted? What was the kind of collective?
Certainly. Basically, their concern was the amount of chickens within a residential lot. Because, some of our lots are fairly small, and having 4 chickens can be a lot based on the accessory structure that is required to house them, because in our code, they have to be under lock and key and hopefully not running loose. So they were concerned with lots being not wide enough, not big enough for 6 chickens, and the required square footage.
Thank you, Mel. And to the mayor's point, how, because we can't have code, we can't have code going around chasing chickens in the road. How would, like, if this were to pass and say there was an influx of chickens and everything, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the conversation we had on this probably like 4 years ago. Hopefully the council meeting will be faster. But like, how would a neighbor report? Like, every morning I hear a rooster in my neighborhood. I'm not going to get up at 4 a.m. trying to find who it was, but they're there. So in that case, like, help me out, Mel.
Correct, sir. And so we did look into that because I anticipated this type of question because code enforcement, or code compliance, I apologize, has had those calls. And yet they are not allowed to go into someone's backyard. They are not allowed to use drones. They're not allowed to do that. And unless they hear or they can count the chickens themselves, their hands are a little tied. Now, I have suggested that they provide courtesy notices stating there has been a complaint, here's the code, be aware, you can only have 4 chickens and absolutely no roosters. That is about the extent of code compliance. Again, the huts should be permitted, right, by accessory structures. Certainly, people can build things in their backyard and we may not know about it, absolutely. Also, if someone believes any animal is at risk, they can always call Brevard County's Animal Services and Department, and they'll come out and do an investigation. But really, that's a great question, and our hands are a little tied on that issue.
And the permanent structures they'll go through you, correct?
Correct. The accessory structures get permitted by us, but we do not do inspections. We
Got it.
don't have the staff, and
Yep.
that was taken away, I think, many years ago.
Yep. Okay. Because what I'm thinking is, you get the complaint, and then you look, okay, I'm getting a complaint. Oh, we don't see that a permit was submitted. All right, something's not adding up.
Well, that is true also. They could always check, and they should check and make sure that an accessory structure permit has been applied for. And if you hear chickens or rooster, then you certainly can. Again, I prefer that we're code compliance. I prefer we're trying to get people to be compliant and not enforce. So I prefer a courtesy notice to begin with, please come into compliance, and then if that continues, then we'll have to cite them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I was just thinking from the address, you can hear where it's coming from. You see there's no permit for that address, then they're already out of compliance, so.
Correct.
All right,
You're
okay.
absolutely correct.
All right, thank you, Mel.
Any questions, Councilman Hammer?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Okay. Well, I didn't need speaker cards, but I'll go with Master Chief, Robert Stice, and there was some, yes, ma'am. You're number 3, ma'am.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. We've had this discussion many, many times, and I'll revert back to one of my major statements that I've said within the city of Palm Bay. And it's why I picked the city of Palm Bay, and it's why I picked my residence because where I live was because it was rural residential area. That's what it was. So for me, it's, I'm zoned RR, so it's this particular ordinance does not impact on me. But the whole thing was that entire community around where I live now at one time was rural residential property, where this would not have been a problem at all. If you would not have changed your zoning, guess what? All these people that want to be farmers in the middle of the city would have still been farmers in the middle of the city, but in order for developers to get more houses per square acre, guess what? We got rid of rural residential. So those that want to be the farmers, I suggest you buy a little bit more land and be farmers. But I blame the city for the ones that got rid of my rural residential land. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Stice, you're next. Ma'am, you're after this young man.
I was just wondering, in our neighborhood, you get these roosters, whatever they are, they just keep you up. The only chickens I was interested in is the ones that come from the freezer section. But, I mean, they're, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning anyway, and I'm also wondering, are these illegal alien chickens? Do we need to call ICE on them? How do we handle this problem?
Ma'am? Do you have speaker cards? Oh, okay,
Hello, my name's Lindsay Kogar. I live at 1413 Goya Road in Southeast Palm Bay. So in regards to the chickens, I know nobody likes roosters and nobody likes getting woken up at 4 a.m., but what's the difference between a rooster and a dog that barks all night long? Or you mentioned chickens being let on the loose around Palm Bay. Well, people let their dogs loose around Palm Bay all the time. So what would be really the difference? Dogs get hit by cars all the time. People are irresponsible with their dogs. So, I mean, what's really the difference between those two animals in that sense of you guys not wanting from 4 to 6 chickens, which to me doesn't seem like a very large difference in number. And fun fact, chickens lay 1 to 2 eggs a day. So, just so everybody knows. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against this item, please step forward.
Pat Talper, 410 Georges Avenue, Northeast. We have enough problems, like she talked about dogs, we have feral cats. I really don't feel that we should allow chickens in these smaller lots. I don't want chickens next to me. Not everybody knows how to take care of their chickens. They don't know how to take care of their pets half the time. So if you wanted chickens and you want a lot more chickens, then they should go find a rural lot and have their chickens. Planning and zoning, it turned out to be a little bit of a joke, but they all agreed. Smaller lots shouldn't be having chickens, and I really don't want to have chickens next to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against this item? Yes, sir.
Phil Weinberg, 466 Scanlon Road. I had a smile when you mentioned you were in Miami and there were a lot of feral chickens. You had to be in Little Havana. or downtown Miami now. But I have a neighbor who has chickens. Okay, they actually had a rooster. I filed a code complaint, and after several months, they finally got rid of the rooster. Now, I will tell you that, I don't know how many chickens they have because I don't go in the backyard to count them, but they do make noise. They are noisy, but here's the point. No one, or very, very few people who live on a normal residential lot, quarter acre or a zero lot line house, want to have a miniature version of Old McDonald's farm next to them. Okay, you want Palm Bay to have an upscale image. You want to attract upscale business and manufacturing and everything. Having chickens next to people where they're living in their residential houses is ridiculous. They shouldn't allow any chickens in residential zoning. It should be limited to rural residential. If you want to have a farm, have the land. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Oh, sorry.
So the motion is, what's the motion? To increase from 4 to 6?
Yes.
I got a motion. Any further discussion, gentlemen?
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay, go
discuss
ahead.
since
Go ahead.
this was originally my item.
Yes, sir.
So a few months ago, I was called a libertarian from somebody in the crowd, or at least it was insinuated. That's not true. I'm just a conservative. I don't believe we shouldn't have any codes and regulations. I believe that we should have codes. Almost everything that was just discussed was roosters, pens, et cetera, et cetera. But what we're asking for is to move the chicken number from 4 to 6. Chickens already exist. They're already in backyards. We're just asking to go from 4 to 6. But here's the reason. It's really not about the chickens, why I want to do this. And I wish that we had done this earlier, either failed or denied, because I have I've got a list of things that I'm working on that what we're doing here is what conservatives are supposed to do. And we're supposed to have some government in place, but I'm looking at deregulating in areas where we need to deregulate. And I've had multiple people come up to me and say that the chicken ordinance was essentially weaponized against them by neighbors that were mad at them for something else. So then they said, oh, hey, these people have chickens. And then code came out, gave them a hard time. They had to get rid of their chickens. So the point really isn't about the chickens. We could have a whole back and forth about whether we want chickens or not. But my point for bringing this up was I don't want our ordinances being used to be weaponized against our residents. That's really what it boils down to. And we have, whether you know it or not, 'cause I don't know if anybody on this dais has chickens. I don't think anybody does. I don't even have chickens. But I have a lot of friends with chickens, and I do know that there's thousands of people that own chickens in the city of Palm Bay. There are L3 Harris and Northrop Grumman and NASA employees and military members that have chickens in the city of Palm Bay. And they cannot go out and live in, they probably could if they want to commute hours, but there's really not a lot of places left where they could work at L3 Harris and go live on a ranch somewhere like out in Osceola County. So the point is less about the chickens and more about the fact that I don't want our ordinances being used to be weaponized against our residents. And this isn't a small niche community of 10 or 20 people in Palm Bay that have chickens. There are quite literally thousands of households in the city that have chickens. I see them on a day-to-day basis as I'm working. There are hundreds of roosters as well. That's a different problem. If you have a rooster, call code enforcement. I'm not asking about roosters. So that's my argument. It's more about the making sure that our regulations are not being used against our residents.
Thank you. Councilman Jones?
Nothing else really to add, Mayor. His original number was 12. So you and I both looked at him like he was crazy when he said it. But I feel 6 is manageable. On one end, we're talking about property rights, but on the other end, we're saying, let's limit this. I don't feel like this is going to be too extreme, especially since it's not going to be every household with chickens. It's really going to be the ones who already have it, looking to increase to 2 or looking to be in compliance, and then a few others along the way that say, hey, I would like to have my own eggs as well. I can't purchase a $50,000 property or whatever it may cost. I don't know those numbers, but I can, go and apply for a permit and go through the proper procedures to make sure I'm in compliance to have 6 chickens. So that's all, Mayor.
Thank you. And like I said, I'm on the record for saying I think the sweet spot is 4, that there was no reason to try and increase this. I think that still is the case. Deputy Mayor?
I have no comments.
Councilman Hammer, any comments?
I'm okay with 6.
Okay, so right now I got a motion to increase from 4 to 6. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed signify by saying nay. Nay. So roll call, please.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilman Hammer?
Aye.
Councilman Langevin?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Jaffe?
Aye.
Mayor Medina?
Nay. Okay, we're now on procurements, item number 1. Ms. Moscone.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This is the award of a bid for canal maintenance. The Public Works Department maintains over 116 miles of canals and ditches, but they do find that there are particular canals and ditches where they do not have good bank access to maintain them. And so they do go out to bid for vendors that have the type of aquatic excavators that can handle this maintenance. Only one bid was received on this, and staff did outreach. The complexity of the scope, including challenging site conditions and access limitations, certainly reduced the pool of interested and qualified contractors. And staff is available to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions, council, at this time? Councilman Hammer, any questions?
No, sir.
All right, Deputy Mayor, any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. Councilman Johnson? Deputy Mayor? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Item number 2.
Yes, sir, thank you. This is the award of road bond paving for Unit 44. At the July 17th meeting, council did request that staff pause any future road bond projects with the exception of any projects that were already in some type of action. So this particular bid was advertised on May 30th. It closed and 3 bids were received. The lowest bid is Timothy Rose Contracting out of Vero Beach, Florida. They have done several of our road bond projects. The estimated award value is $9,312,394, and staff is available for any questions that you may have.
Council, any questions? Councilman Johnson?
More so for our, yes, sir.
Kevin?
Yep, Mr. Kevin.
Yes, sir. Kevin Brinkley, Public Works Director.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the city. And I'm sure you heard, or you may have already had conversations with Councilman Langevin just with his request or with his proposal in regards to moving forward. I know we're voting on this item, but I just wanted to hear where you are with that.
What do you mean, the future?
Yes, sir. Yeah, just briefly.
For pausing or?
Yep. Yes, sir.
So yeah, actually kind of have been having this similar discussions with the staff. I would like to also get caught up to speed. A big component in any resurfacing and any road maintenance is it's called a pavement condition index. It's basically a grading of all of your assets. The last time we had it done was 2016. Throw something if I'm wrong. So we're coming up on the decade mark next year. I think it is something that you want to stay on top of, and so we need to look into doing that again and then check. You know, I also want to know, are we repaving roads just because we believe we need to redo every road in the city, or are we repaving them based on condition? This one caught my attention because when looking at the previous PCI and looking at the Transmap reports, you know, they give a number that if your road is below this threshold, you need to do a full depth reclamation, but above this threshold, you should be good with milling and paving. And I saw us, we had to do full depth reclamation on areas that the score in 2016 at least was high enough that I thought, wait a minute. So when I dug into it, what I found is when they actually tested the subbase and did I'm going to mess it up, geological.
Geotech.
Yes. They found that the base of the road was not thick enough initially. And so wear and tear over time made it even worse. And so what we have to do is we have to do FDR in order to build the base back to the depth that it should have been when it was first built. So bad news is it costs us more. Good news is we're now putting that base in place at the correct depth that in the future we'll only need to mill the top layer off and repave it. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Is that?
Yeah, just a question, sir.
Yeah.
So
Hold on.
obviously, I mean, the budget's shot, and now you're telling me it's going to be even more shot if we're going to be doing more FDR projects.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I think to the original question was the pause, and I don't think it's a bad idea because we want to find out where we actually are, what's the truth of our reality today, and that'll help us design the plan moving forward so that we're not chasing good money after bad, essentially.
Yeah. I've never seen 3 bids so close in numbers before. It almost feels like the contractors are starting to understand what the bidding practices looked like in the previous open public bids, and there's historical data that they can look at. And, you know, last month we awarded Universal. This month we're going to award Timothy Rose, and it kind of just seems to be going around and around in circles. And I feel like we need to expand our bidder base to try to get some more competitive numbers. And I'm not comfortable supporting this tonight. I'd like to see historical data. Basically, what are we paying per mile or per square yard from unit over unit for you know, oranges to oranges, apples to apples to apples for a scope of work.
I think
it's $10 million.
Yeah, I think we could pull together some data for you to send.
I mean, I would hope you guys have that, right? Like, I mean, obviously you're new, but I would hope that that's
Yeah.
something staff
Not offhand,
would be
yeah.
tracking, right? Or procurement at least. So. And then can you talk about the budget and what that looks like? It says something, the additional budget will be approved in fiscal year '26?
Yes, so actually, originally, this project was going to be a fiscal year 2026 project when it was still in design. And so because, of course, we started our budget process so early, staff did request this project as part of their 2026 asks. So the funding is available in fiscal year 26 to supplement the shortage that exists in the project right now.
Which is what, a little over $4 million?
Correct.
So I think George wanted to touch on some of the procurement aspects of this.
Yes,
Come on
please,
up.
Mr. Barber.
Come on up.
Good evening. I just want to talk about a little bit of the outreach, because to your point, they were really close. So when I came in about 2.5, almost 3 years ago, the first thing we wanted to do is try to increase our vendor pool for the road bond pavement projects. And we did like a nice stakeholder meeting, and what it boiled down to was that it was not many contractors willing to mobilize to this area. So really, we just had preferred materials, Ranger, Timothy Rose. So I've reached out to the West Coast, pretty much everywhere we possibly could. And that's essentially what has come down to, is that we have no one willing to participate. And a lot of that reason is because of mobilization. So we do have a limited vendor pool, but it's kind of what we're working with at this point.
And the issue of like breaking it up unit by unit is the remobilizations, right? If we were to award a contract on a much larger scale, those particular contractors would already be mobilized in our area, right? Mobilization for any contractor is the biggest cost.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we tried to see if we can bundle them up to see if we can get creative with the strategy. Just unfortunately, it's nothing really good to report as far as competition. So I just want to kind of let you know, we have done the outreach to try to increase our vendor pool specifically for road bond paving. And I think we reached out to maybe just about everyone in Central Florida, the Gulf Coast, not so much on the north side, but to see who would be willing to come in to participate for our service or for our business. And we haven't gotten anything.
You good? So, Madam Moscone, I guess the question is, Deputy Mayors, is there, so there's a $9 million project, right? I think his thought process is increase the job, right? Instead, bundle some additional. Is that an opportunity? Because I'm hearing at the same time, we want to pause, and yet to get a larger pool, we would want to increase the opportunity to bundle additional projects. That's what I'm hearing. Increase that pool by having a bigger project. So if we're pausing, how do we do that? What are your thoughts?
Thank you for the opportunity to respond, and I want to thank Mr. Brinkley and Mr. Barber for doing such a good job responding to your questions. Just going back to the procurement element, there's just two things I want to add. One is FDR requires specialized equipment that is extremely limited. You may recall in the very beginning when we were first doing FDR projects, we for a long time, only had one bidder, Asphalt Paving Systems. Yes. They were the only contractor in the area that had the FDR equipment. If they weren't bidding, they were the sub to several of the same bidders. Which is always a concern for a procurement perspective. And slowly but surely, because of the investment we've made in the community, we know that other contractors have acquired the equipment, knowledge, and expertise to perform this work. So one other thing I can answer related to the procurement perspective, because way back when, there was a significant conversation about what is the best procurement methodology to deliver these projects. Is it to bundle? Is it to bundle large units? Is it to bundle small units? Is it to do, as Deputy Mayor and I discussed this week, unit pricing, right? And to Deputy Mayor's point, we've been doing this so long and our full tabulations are getting posted. Absolutely. Everybody knows what everybody's going to bid. And those numbers are out there. I do think there is an opportunity, since we are engaging in a pause, to also revisit the procurement strategy at the same time that we are revising what we actually want to do with these funds. And it might be that we've been strategically bundling them based on geographic location, to your point, to reduce mobilization costs. If you make them too large, companies will not be able to bond. We require 100% payment and performance bond. That means they need to have bonding capacity for the 100% of the job. 100% for a $10 million project versus a $20 million contract will impact your bidder pool. That said, the challenge right now is, because we did this bid, the tabulation is posted, the numbers are out there. If we bundle it with a larger job, then of course everybody knows what everybody bid on Unit 44 and all the associated roads. It's certainly a possibility. If I'm really going to leave it up to council at this point, I would defer to Mr. Brinkley, but I believe the recommendation from staff is to award this project and move forward. But if you all would like us to revisit the strategy, I would recommend we do that on projects going forward as part of the pause that you've already instructed us to take to revisit the procurement strategy.
Thank you. Kevin?
That's accurate.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilman Johnson?
Great recollection, Deputy City Manager, because that's exactly what I was going to bring up too. I remember the early conversations when we had the group meetings with the Infrastructure Advisory Board out on the floor. That was the topic. In the workshops, what we were going to do, how we were going to bundle it. I'm with you, Deputy Mayor. I'm good with pausing on this as well, and just, because who knows what more we can do with the 10 million if we're able to just bring it all back and we're bringing 20 million or however much, especially since we have you here now, sir. So I'm more confident in staff, but with us, I feel like we can pause on this. What's the rush to me is what I feel, but I don't know. I'm open for a discussion with council, but
Well, I think Kevin just, and I hear you, because that piqued my interest with the, bundling it, and those are the challenges, but I want to hear, again, staff's recommendation at this point is to move forward. So, Kevin, I know that you're just getting knee-deep into this, and we want to hear from you at this point.
No, that's accurate, Mayor. And my initial reaction coming on was to say, let's stop everything and assess. The roads in this area are in a condition that I felt comfortable with trusting the process that has previously occurred and getting this project done. We know it's not going to be any less expensive in the future, and I didn't want to get in the way knowing that we're going to end up doing this anyways in this area. So I felt comfortable with that. I actually feels kind of fortuitous, the timing on it. And especially since it was had already been bid out, I was like, okay, at least we're going to get that taken care of. We can pause and then reassess everything else. I don't have anything quite in that as bad as 44. So that gives us the opportunity to maybe get a CPI in the upcoming budget year, possibly even with these funds if council sees fit. So yes, I do think that 44 warrants moving forward. I trust the process that it has occurred and got us to this point, but I definitely want to investigate it before putting a stamp on it forward.
Well, I appreciate that, Kevin, and a different factor that we might have overlooked at this point is it's just going to get more expensive, right, in holding down. So I appreciate your candor, sir, and we miss having a Public Works Director for quite some time, so thank you for your input.
Thanks, sir.
Are there any speaker cards, Deputy Mayor, on this item?
Yeah, we got Bill Batten.
Master Chief?
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. I've got a couple of items to bring up on this one. Several meetings ago, when we first started talking about the expenditure of the Go Road bond, one of the council members made a statement of, why did we pave roads that only had 3 houses on them? Well, I happen to be one of those roads that only had 3 houses on it. When I moved to Palm Bay, I moved onto a street that was paved. By the time we got the road bond in here to the city to be voted on by the residents that were finally willing to invest their money, I got a paved road. But prior to getting my road paved, it went from a paved road to a graded road to dumping sand on it and smoothing it. That's what it went to. But believe it or not, Now that we got that paved road repaired, guess what? My lots are bumping out left and right now with houses developing and coming in. It boosted the development greatly. It wasn't the initial cost. It was a good investment into the city that promoted growth on the roads that were established without having to have major complexes come in and PUDs developed. It gave the city of Palm Bay the ability to utilize their scatter lots where people felt happy to live in Palm Bay. That's what it accomplished. That's number one. Number two, we started out when we presented this program with the Go Roads, we started out in phases, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we said, well, the phases are taking longer, so instead of calling them phases, we're now going to call them years in anticipation of how long it was going to take. We anticipated 8 years for the project to be completed, and then we divided it up accordingly. That's where that came from, not by what the planning was, right? Now, the other side of this one is, what are you going to do? If you do pause this, it's going to be more expensive, what we've already discussed. But with that, what do you want to do? Do you want to have scatter lots where we go through and take the road, each road, look at them individually again, saying, okay, now out of the hundreds and hundreds of roads that we have, we're now going to say this road, this road, this road, or a community of roads, how you're going to go about it, right? So we haven't discussed what the plan would be. We're just thinking about, well, let's just utilize the last of the money, but the poor person that's been paying taxes and thought they were on, or paying for it, thought they were on their next year to be paved, and now you're considering, sorry, mate, because that's what happened to me 3 times. I paid into the roads, and I never got a road until this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speaker cards, Deputy Mayor?
No, Mayor.
Okay, Councilman, I need a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to go ahead and move forward with the item.
I got a motion by Councilman Langevin. I'll second the motion. Okay, gentlemen, discussion. Councilman Langevin.
Okay, so I am the one that asked initially to pause the funding, but as we kind of agreed on, we said, first off, anything that's already kind of in the works, we're going to continue with, and then they took the time to go kind of find like the worst area that we really feel comfortable with. So there is a give and take where I think we can do a better job with spending this money, and I want to eventually move it into a different direction. But since we've already kind of committed in this direction and we went and found an area that really, really needs it, I'm going to go ahead and support passing it tonight.
And I agree with you. The pause was significant, and I concurred with that from the very beginning. I'm just at a point where reassuring our Public Works Department and our director to pause is great, but this pause shouldn't affect this project right here, right now. I do credit Deputy Mayor for his thought process of bundling, increasing the pool, but my concerns are that it's so far downrange that it's going to wind up costing us a lot more than what, based on the contract. And you're right, Madam Moscone, everybody sees the bidding project. We've been doing this for quite some time, so they're hitting the same mark at the same time, because that's how the bidding process goes. It's just a limited pool, like you said, Deputy Mayor, but that's why I support this. Any other discussion? Councilman Hammer, I haven't heard from you.
Yes, one of the things that I was concerned of when Councilman Langevin first brought it up was before we moved forward, we were assessing not only the quality of the roads that were done before, but the priorities. And I know Unit 44 is one of the worst ones if you've ever driven down Wake Forest. It's horrible. I'm going to be in agreement in moving forward, but I I would really like to see something assessed with the quality of the past and make sure we're not falling into that again.
Mr. Kevin, did you get that intel from Councilman Hammer?
Yeah, I think a PCI report, an updated PCI would go a long ways telling us where we actually are and help us planning out the future.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any further discussion, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'm still going to be against it tonight, just because, number one, I think the mobilization cost is way too high. 7% of the value of the contract is way too high for mobilization. I think the maintenance of traffic at 400,000 is way too high, and not seeing any historical data from units approved previously, I just don't feel comfortable moving forward with the yay tonight.
All right, sir. Thank you. So right now I got a motion by Councilman Landrovich, seconded by Mayor Medina. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
So roll call. You made the motion, you switched?
Yeah.
So it's,
Deputy Mayor brought up some good points.
so it's 4 to 1. What was your vote? No, what was your vote, Councilman Hammer?
Yay.
So motion fails 2 to 3. Okay, we're now on item number 3. Ms. Moscone.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you recall, a few meetings ago, we discussed the fact that we outsource our city engineer services. Similarly, we outsource our traffic engineer service. In order to make it through the end of the fiscal year, staff is requesting to increase our outside consulting task order from $100,000 to $130,000. Staff supports this request. It's well under what we would be paying for an individual, but also this will allow Mr. Brinkley some time to assess the strategies we've had. The position's been advertised since September 2024. Cost-benefit analysis of outsourcing versus alternative recruiting efforts, look at the pay scale, other agency best practices, and work with our Human Resources Department. Staff's available for any questions.
Any questions, council? Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve procurement item number 3.
Second.
Got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Johnson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We're now on item new business number 2. Madam Smith.
Ordinance 2025-32, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V, Legislative, Chapter 51, Public Hearings, by including additional provisions for time limits of public hearing items, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
Ms. Jones.
Yes, thank you. This request was made by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. Basically, under our public hearings, the only items that have a time limit are quasi-judicial proceedings and any items that fall under the Land Development Code. So basically, this adds to the confusion of when people raise their hand, when people fill out cards. So we decided to implement time limits for all of the public hearings, and then everybody will submit a card.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, comment cards?
Yeah, when I brought up to staff about the ordinance, I wasn't really more concerned about people filling out speaker cards as there was items people were coming up to speak on and there was no clock. That was the only concern I had. So I just wanted a clock to limit, so we're not, someone could speak for 3 hours, right? So I wasn't necessarily looking for more speaker cards. I still feel like the mayor can just call people from the audience, but just items that didn't have a clock, that's all I was looking for.
Understood, and that's a good point. At the same time, it's just the timing of it, right? We eliminated the broadcasting, so I'm a little concerned about that. At any point, speaker cards?
Bill Batten.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. I thought this was interesting when I was going through the packet. and we had the highlighted where the change were. It was great. It said, here's who's going to talk, here's how much time you get. It highlighted what those changes were going to be. But we're discussing some of the things that actually brought it to be. Was it the light? Was it the confusion? But in the summaries, that was the only place where you saw that it was going, not in the summary of the topic, but in the summary of the staff presentation, was where you saw that every item under public hearing, if a person wanted to speak on it, would not have the ability to just raise their hand when they hear the conversation. They would have to submit an orange card. That's where the conflict was. And I agree with optics. I understand the statement of where you're headed, what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to solve. But under the optics, I agree that it looked just like, well, let's just make it harder for the public to get up and address their government. That's optics only, I understand that. And you wouldn't even have seen that in the packet, and you would not have seen any of that when you're looking at the agenda for the vote. You wouldn't know any of that unless you spent the time to go through and actually look at the agenda packet online and open them and read them. So I understand what you're trying to do, but the optics is what scares me on this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Ruth Caulfield.
Ruth Caulfield, 935 Douglas Street Southeast. Now, this little pretty picture that y'all have in here on the time limits is very self-explanatory. You don't want people to speak who are aggrieved or adversely affected and just want to silence them because they're aggrieved or adversely affected, and you want to just cut comments of the public all the way down, no matter what, because that's what this says now, okay? I'm just saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, can the city attorney clarify that?
Sure. Madam Attorney?
The aggrieved or adversely affected parties are going to be parties to the land development hearings, and that section isn't being changed. What happens sometimes, there'll be public comments. There may be a public hearing related to a CED. Those aren't under the land development code. So somebody that's coming forth for a grant or something of that nature, they can speak until they either get tired or until the mayor tells them to stop, because they have no time limits. So you'll have, most of the public hearings are going to be land development, but you'll have some public hearings that aren't land development, and you see there are people that come here a lot of times, and they'll just stop after 3 minutes because they're just in the habit. And then there are others, it's like, okay, there is no time, and they will go on and on and on. And I think this is in most cases, for people who are not the actual applicant, that are just providing comment, most times it is appropriate, I think, is the intent for those people to also have 3 minutes, whether it's land development code, CED, or whatever else public hearing is required.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay, so I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass the ordinance 2025-32 with the exception of requiring speaker cards.
Second.
I got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Johnson. Further discussion, Deputy Mayor?
No, Mayor.
Councilman Johnson? No, sir. So this is where I'm at. It's all about the optics. I think this was a great idea. Perhaps we could have started in that regard, but it's just the optics and the timing of everything. But you're right, perhaps 3 minutes should suffice, and I get what you're doing. I get what you're saying, Deputy Mayor. At the same time, it's about the optics for me right now, so I won't be supporting this. Right now, I got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Johnson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed signify by saying nay. Nay. Passes 4-1. We're now on council reports. Councilman Langevin.
All right. So I got a couple things. I'm sure you're going to talk about this morning, so I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I do just want to give all credit where credit's due. We went to a ribbon cutting for L3 Harris this morning, and the mayor had a phenomenal speech with the CEO of L3 Harris. It was so motivating, it made me go get my high and tight haircut. I just wanted to commend you on that. That was really awesome this morning. And then the second thing, to give kind of an update to council and the public. I believe it was last meeting, we gave consensus to allow the city manager to send an official letter on behalf of the city to Florida Doge and formally invite them. So we did that. I worked with the city manager, and we officially sent that letter out today. So the chief financial officer's office is aware of it. And I'll just, for the benefit of the residents, it's not a long letter, so I'll go ahead and read it real quick. Dear CFO Ngolia, on behalf of the city of Palm Bay, I am pleased to extend you a warm and enthusiastic invitation to visit our community as Florida Doge and the FAFO working group. Palm Bay has recently welcomed a new city council with a renewed focus on accountability, setting clear public safety priorities, and working diligently to lower the tax burden on our residents. We are also launching a self-audit and Doge initiative based off yours and President Trump's mandates to strengthen transparency and performance across all city operations. Our council deeply values the important work you are leading at the state level and recognizes the positive impact of your efforts to safeguard taxpayer dollars and promote fiscal responsibility. We share your vision for more efficient, accountable government and believe Palm Bay is an ideal partner for advancing these goals. We would be honored to host you and your team and explore opportunities to collaborate with our dedicated staff in bringing forward better ideas, fresh perspectives, and enhanced accountability for the benefit of our residents. We hope you will accept the invitation to join us in Palm Bay at your earliest convenience, et cetera, et cetera. So that's moving forward, and we're really hoping that they reach back out to us and say we're sending a team in, and we'd love to hear their thoughts and tell them our thoughts and see how we can move efficiency and accountability forward as much as possible.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hammer, your reports?
I'm going to keep it short this time. I'm going to apologize to everybody there. I'm under the weather, and I do not want to inflict this on anybody there. And that's all that I have to say, and thank you for you guys and everybody that showed up tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Johnson?
Yes, Mayor, two things. One, if to the point of, I think it was professional grade that was here, if we can look into what they were talking about in regards to Florida building code versus, I didn't want to go into back and forth at that point, but Florida FBC versus IBC and what they were referring to. We don't have to get into it now. If staff can just.
But Mr. Pearson gave us a thumbs up, so
okay.
We're good.
All right.
Okay.
But I apologize for not being here last council meeting and the budget workshop. I did let staff know, and I let them know my stance on the budget. If he can pull up, I think he's pulling up now. So, while we have the oath with the city, I have a covenant with my wife, and we say in sickness and in health. And with that, last year she was diagnosed with something. I don't need to get into it now. But we were blessed with an opportunity. It was brought to our attention of a little city called not even a city, town, Thomaston, Georgia, population 9,000 people. But this gentleman, Dr. Henry Wright, he found that majority of diseases that people have in their lineage actually comes from like a spiritual root, where people say cancer runs in my family or this runs in my family. It's usually an iniquity or an infirmity that comes from generations to generations. And this organization, Being Health, they've been able to change the lives of thousands of people. So I told him, this is a platform for me to be a council member, but if this just changes the lives of one person, then so be it. I thought we were just going up there for her healing, but there was a lot of emotional and mental healing for myself too. So I'll be blunt about that. There was times where I was like, wow, that actually hit me, like in regards to bitterness and anguish and things you take on, unloving, pride, stuff like that, conversations that we as human beings don't like having. They got into the weeds of it and were able to help you give it to God so he can uproot it and replace it with his love. So just want to share this one video. We don't have to share the second video because I want to be mindful of time, but we'll do this video just in case it may reach one person watching. If not, we'll keep it moving.
Hi, I'm Pastor Scott Harper, and welcome to Be in Health. We're a ministry of Hope of the Generations Church here in Thomaston, Georgia. You're most likely here because you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you've probably tried everything that you possibly can figure out underneath the sun and nothing has worked. Or maybe some friend or family said, hey, you've got to check out Be in Health. Or maybe you got a hold of the book A More Excellent Way by Dr. Henry Wright and you're just looking for more information. You're in the right spot. Our website is full of content for anyone and everyone. All of our teachings are based on the Word of God. All we do is present you with truth. What you do with it from that point on is up to you. There's no gimmicks. There's nothing you have to perform or do. You just have to hear it, apply it, the practical application of the Word of God into your life to provide freedom, to provide change. There is absolutely nothing impossible for God. One of the main things I'd like to connect with you about is our For My Life retreat. It's a week-long chance for you to come sit here, to get away from the things that distract you, away from the things that are familiar to you, you know, the day-by-day in pieces of life that get us distracted from the Word of God. Now, all the resources and everything are great, but to give you a line upon line, precept upon precept, as the Word of God speaks, you got to come hang out with us for a week. Now, maybe you can't. Maybe it is impossible right now for you to do that. Then we do offer it online. And it's a great resource. But that's just a stopgap until you can come spend a week with us so we can love on you, so we can show you God's love in your life, so you can really, truly have a week away for your life. People come from all over the world to attend the For My Life retreat. We offer it year-round. We offer it every single month, so there's plenty of opportunities for you to schedule to come and visit us. Allow us to serve you while you're here. So, with that, I hope to see you soon. God bless.
So that's it, Mayor. The website is beinhealth.com. Check it out for yourself. Refer a friend or somebody who you know is dealing with stuff. They feel veterans of PTSD, of people with anxiety, cancer. Like you can just look at it right there, depression, lack of identity, occultism, things of that nature. So just wanted to put the information out there, use this platform to do so, and that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two items I'd like to talk about, just presenting a couple of ordinances. One is regarding stormwater fees for properties with an ag exemption. Something I'll be working with staff on bringing back at a future meeting. And the second one is our ordinance on foreclosure registration has a requirement that I'm looking to remove the vacancy requirement for it to be on the registry. Foreclosures, we're fourth right now in the country in foreclosures. And the way our registry works is the home has to be in foreclosure and it has to be vacant for 90 days. And most people who are in foreclosure are actually living in their homes. So I'd like to remove the vacancy requirement on that in our ordinance. And that would allow those homes to be put on the registry sooner, and the city can actually start collecting revenue on those properties.
Yeah, I was talking with CJ. Is this the same thing? Yes. So, yeah, I had already spoken with Matthew Morton regarding this. So I'm really gung-ho about this opportunity because this could be an opportunity for us to actually tap into some stream, financial stream. So, yes, sir, I don't mind tapping into that with you guys because I did bring this up to the city manager as well. Does that conclude your report, sir, or did you have?
Yeah, I mean, just like the other
comments?
issue is like, how do you determine when the home is vacant?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's in
How do you-
foreclosure,
how do you
this period at the end, it's in foreclosure. You know, how do you determine that it's vacant and vacant for 90 days, right? That's staff's time trying to figure that out, so.
That would be
that concludes my
code
report.
maybe, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll start off my comments with an outstanding dedication for Sergeant Frank Tobar, Chief, and the entire police department, and from near and far. We had retirees come. Patricia Tobar was such an outstanding speaker at that dedication. And gentlemen, Sacrifice Park is worthy of that sacrifice. And I'm proud to say that all the families, all the retirees, every law enforcement that came from near and far. They really appreciated the fact that Frank was placed on that wall. He'll always be etched in the memory of service for this great city. So I was really taken back by that. Then I wanted to shift a little bit to our firefighters. Yes, I do love our first responders. For those of you that don't know, they actually were at a structure fire not far from my neighborhood, and where there was a loss of life. So we need to keep that in mind, and the fact of their mental health, Chief. Just want to highlight that, how important it is for us to make sure that these men and women are taken care of in that regard. I understand there were some pets that also perished in that structure fire. And then to Councilman Langevin, it was a great opportunity for us to actually celebrate with L3 Harris. Most of you know that we had actually given them a tax abatement, but what we didn't know is that the President of the United States is talking about creating a dome to protect this nation. And right here in this great city of Palm Bay, that manufacturing will happen at L3 Harris. So I was excited, and yes, Councilman Langevin, I got motivated because this small city of 150,000 are actually working towards, our citizens will have their hands on protecting this nation on such a huge nation to nation. So yes, I'm excited what L3 Harris is doing, and there is an opportunity, Councilman Johnson, that they will be dealing with recruiting some of our high school students to get them in that work environment so that they don't have to go to college. They could get great paying jobs right here in Palm Bay, which has always been our goal. So I'm excited about L3 Harris. Thank you for investing in our city. That concludes my comments. Madam Moscone.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to bring up two items briefly. One, as our lobbyist mentioned, the Brevard Legislative Delegation meeting is September 30th, although historically our city manager has provided those comments. Generally, the other agencies and municipalities do have their elected officials present, and staff's recommendation is that, Mayor, if you would like to do the speaking on behalf of the city's legislative priorities at that meeting, that would be staff's request.
Yes, ma'am, I'll do it, and I'll try to motivate the legislators.
You wear a costume like a former commissioner?
No negatives,
Okay.
ma'am. I will not wear a costume. I take our job seriously to wear costumes. I think that's a form of disrespect, ma'am.
The other item that I would like to bring up, I've updated a few of you, but for the public's benefit, Evans Center. Evans Center had a proposal, as you recall, the single proposal we received was from Club Esteem in partnership with METCA and CREA for vocational youth programming. Club Esteem was the primary submitted firm. It was their financials we evaluated. Unfortunately, Club Esteem did withdraw. Their board did not approve the lease. Had a great all-hands brainstorming session with staff. What we would like to get council consensus is we would like to put the RFA back out, but we would like to do a couple things. One, clarify that all the utilities requirements are in fact the tenant's responsibility, because apparently there wasn't enough clarity there. We had a $1,000 limit for repairs in the lease. We could make that higher if you all would like, but also we want to broaden it to other options in the community. Of course, CREA and METCA would both be able to still submit. We would encourage youth programs. We know that the Boys and Girls Club has approached the city. We know that we've had a partnership successfully with the YMCA. Aging Matters was here tonight. We already allow them to use the Captain's House to provide seniors at lunch program there. We've talked to the police department about having a space for not only community meetings, but possibly for the Explorers program. which is timely because of Officer Tobar's memorial service on Wednesday. We want to broaden it. We want the community to tell us what they think is best there. And then along those same lines, Mr. Waite has already been working with the police department, and we want to have a community event at Driscoll Park. He's already established a date, which I can get to you all, and then we want to hear from the community. We will work with Miss Connie, make sure she can help spread the word, and we want to hear from the community in Driscoll Heights. What do you all want to see there as well? So that's our proposal for you all, but before we move forward on that, we wanted consensus from council.
Okay, Councilman Johnson, you're the first one to buzz in.
Yes, Mayor. Wow, it's unfortunate because Club Esteem does great work, but hey, I know I was getting Boys and Girls Club in contact with staff, so I appreciate you mentioning that. That was going to be the first comment I made because they specifically said they want to be in a low-income area, which that will qualify. So I'm definitely fine with broadening the scope, and I'm glad you mentioned the police and Daniel Waite, because one thing when serving on the CDBG, was Miss Tootie from Melbourne PAL. She's part of the recreation, but she handles their PAL program. So I don't know if that's something we could look at. I know Daniel has a lot on his plate, and I know, Chief, I'm not going to put it on your plate, so I'm sorry, but maybe the way they did it in Melbourne, they had the recreation department lead Melbourne PAL, and then their police officers got involved as they could, or something like to that. So that way the city still, we're not dependent on outside people who want us to have it, or they want to be in control of it, like we've seen people speak in the past. But it's the city running it, but we just allocated it to a different department. I don't know if it will work or not, but I see how Melbourne did it. But definitely I'm okay with expanding it and see what we can do, so.
Councilman Johnson or Councilman Langevin? That haircut got me.
I mean, if we're going to keep it, yeah, that makes sense. My personal opinion is we should sell it, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can sell it based on our history there. So before you just go down that range, I want us just to brief you a little bit on the history. Ms. Moscone?
So,
Yeah,
I can give you this history, but also tell you I don't have a complete answer to that. So as part of the Evans Center, as a nonprofit, in partnership with Neighbor Up, had 3 different liens on the property, one, of course, from the city of Palm Bay, and then they had a state grant and a federal grant. And reading through the legislative memos, our understanding is those grants were in some way conditioned upon forgiveness was conditioned upon the city continuing to have some type of nonprofit service in there. However, the city attorney's office, Mr. Edwards, is currently researching that because we haven't found an actual deed restriction. So we need to speak to those granting agencies and definitively give you the answer about whether there would be a requirement to repay those loans if council's direction was to instead sell the Evans Center. I don't have the answer for you tonight.
okay, copy that. Councilman Johnson?
Oh, I'm good. It's Deputy Mayor.
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
I agree with Councilman Langevin. But in the meantime, move forward with the suggestions by Deputy City Manager.
So we're looking at selling or we're looking at RFP? What are we looking at? What direction do we give?
Then let's sell it. That's my suggestion with Councilman Langevin.
Okay. Councilman Hammer?
I would like to do a little bit of research on it before we make any decision, but we also got to remember why it's called the Evans Center. Mr. Evans was big in the community, and it was somewhere that people could come together at. And I kind of want to preserve that, but on the backside, you know, I don't know. It's a lot to come up with at the drop of a dime.
Okay. So I guess I'm not sure how to direct you at this point, but I think the part of Councilman Johnson, just give me a second.
Yes, sir.
I think the part that Councilman Hammer just hit on, the history of that and the value to the community, needs to be considered at the same time. All the while, though, if there is an option to sell and not have to pay these penalties, what does that look like? What amount and who, it doesn't matter who would purchase it, but would they even preserve that type of history? So right now, we not giving you any direction in an RFP process. It's just, get further research on whether you're able to sell and what does that look like. I guess that's the best direction we can give you at this time.
Mayor, yes,
Yeah.
I see Councilman Johnson, but I apologize for bringing this up at council reports. We'll be glad to bring you back an agenda item with additional details so we can have further
Okay.
discussion if you'd
Okay.
like.
Councilman Johnson?
Could it at least be like a RFI or something? Maybe, I don't know. I've been in communication with Boys and Girls Club for the past year, just trying to get them down here. They're mostly in Titusville and Cocoa. We don't have anything in the Southern Brevard area, so I don't know.
So
the kids, they need something, so.
No, I get where you're going. At the same time, if I was under the impression that the penalties would be devastating, right? If
That's
we
what I
were to
thought,
sell,
too.
if we were able to sell. So I'm at the point where we
Well,
should.
it just depends on
look
what
at
you
it.
sell the building for.
Yeah.
Right?
For,
Right.
and what penalties there are.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So right now, let's look at,
Yes, sir.
can we do that? And then we'll turn, go from there. Okay. Is that enough, ma'am?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, any council reports, Madam Smith?
No, sir.
All right, this meeting's adjourned.